we can get going. Did you get a chance to watch the Noah match? I imagine not.
No, I didn't. I kind of like opened it, but then when I saw how long it was gonna be, I don't think I was gonna make it. So.
Well, I mean, it was.
Bother. Are you gonna discuss
the
it?
match itself was 30 minutes. Yeah, like the YouTube videos finally came out for it. I'm like, oh, rad! Watch.
Yeah.
It's a really good match. We'll get to it. It's like the only thing worth talking about from that pay-per-view.
All right, that'll work.
It's really, really warm. it's all muggy and sweaty. You connected yet? Mixers, of course, first, as the usual. YouTube says bad stream health, as the usual. There goes the tweeter. And Twitch? Are you up, Twitch? Yes, you are, Twitch. Alright. So I will count us down. Ready?
Ready to go.
Alright. 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, boys.
Hey, JD. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm just, you can hear me all right?
I can.
Okay, it's because my recording, okay. No, I think it...
Do we need to restart?
Well, I'm tapping on the microphone here.
I can definitely hear you.
Okay, hello?
Yeah.
Okay, no, then I think I'm good, yeah. All right, false start. Yeah, we'll just redo it and I guess just do it from there. Do I just leave it recording?
No. Just get a new recording started.
Okay. Let me kill this. Sorry about that, man.
I barely got a word in.
Yeah, because usually I'll just tap like on my microphone to see if the thing moves up and it does, and this time it didn't, but I noticed that it was picking up my voice, so.
All right.
Let me just restart everything again. Hang on.
Okay.
I'm just going to see if I was able to hear that.
And were you?
I'm checking right now. Audacity just takes a while to start up again.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, I'm just going to do a quick test.
All right.
Hello, test, 1, 2. Okay. It was picking up my laptop microphone. That's why.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah. All right.
Much better.
Let me go ahead and change that again really quick, and I'll just do one more test and we'll get started.
No problem.
Yeah, I would hate to do an entire episode and nothing was recorded.
Well, luckily I got a backup going, so that's exactly what it's for.
Hello, test.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, it looks like that's it. Let me press play. Hello, test.
Oh, that definitely worked. I could hear it.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right, let me stop that again. I will reopen it and we'll restart.
New World Order.
I'm guessing, is that one of the songs you're going to put on?
Well, at one point it will be.
Alright, Logitech USB. Okay. Let me see, I got everything ready to go. Yeah, alright, we're good to go, JD. You can hear me just fine, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Alrighty, let's do this.
Alright. 3, 2, 1, go. Man, oh man, we are back. It is the Red Leaf Retrocast, Wrestlecast edition, episode 6. We're getting ever so closer to the double digits. And you know what that means? Another Wrestlecast, another major pay-per-view has passed. In fact, you could say 3 major pay-per-views have passed in the terms of Dominion out of New Japan and NXT TakeOver, which spoiler alert, it was really good. And WWE's Money in the Bank, one of their big 5. So the first major WWE event covered on the Wrestlecast. Oh, wait, I take that back. WrestleMania did happen, but we tend to forget about things sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm joined here by my ever-loving co-host, Rad Zero. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, JD? And how's everybody doing tonight? Excited to be here again on episode 6 of the Wrestlecast. We have amazing topics to cover and so many shows that we want to go over, so can't wait to get started.
Yeah. Well, before we get into this, round 1 of the UK tournament has already happened and put on WWE's YouTube channel, so you can go and check those out. Unfortunately, a lot of the matches are less than 10 minutes, so they don't really get a chance to shine. It feels like an introduction, a YouTube introduction to a lot of these UK stars. But if you're a frequenter of this podcast, you've definitely heard probably 90% of the names that are going to be covered or showing up in the UK tournament.
Absolutely.
I just finished watching it shortly before recording this, and I'm already a bit peeved with a certain result, if you don't mind hearing me out, Rad.
Oh, wow. No, I mean, yeah, take it away.
So I set up a bracket because I like doing those things and making myself feel bad when I'm incorrect. But the way I did it this time was I went off personal I didn't go off personal feelings at all. I went off basically how the European indie promotions have been booking these guys in their various promotions. For example, Travis Banks is a 10-month Progress champion. He's the hot shit in that company. So I have him going to the finals, for example, right?
Sure.
Jordan Devlin is the hot shit champion in OTT, the import killer, as we discussed in our last episode over Scrappermania. So I have him meeting Travis Banks in the final. OTT champion against Banks. Since the ICW champion's not in the UK tournament, otherwise I would have had him against Banks. So that's kind of how that gives you an idea of how I made the bracket. And one of my more favorite indie guys, Joseph Connors, is making his second appearance in the UK tournament. So I had him.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, I had him. I had a fun bracket and then the European bracket, you might say. And I had Banks. I had one bracket where Banks would win and go to the finals, and then I had another one where Connors would win and go to the finals, because I just went with my heart on that one. And he ended up losing in the first round to essentially a nobody. I mean, Kenny Williams is a good wrestler, don't get me wrong, but I think Joseph Connors is way better. And he ended up losing in the first round. I just couldn't believe it. It's very baffling to me.
Oh, man.
But based on what I heard out of comment, yeah, I'm a little peeved about the Joseph Connors move. I don't understand what's happened to the guy, whether it's a personality turn in the back or nobody knows what to do with him because he was booked so strongly like a couple of years ago, such as he was the WCPW champion, aka Defiant now, with a good run, sure, beating the likes of Drew McIntyre, aka Galloway at the time.
Sure, which is a decent name, obviously.
Oh yeah. Very good match. I think it was one of my matches of the year. It definitely made a top 10. It involved Drew Galloway cutting like one of the best promos of that year. The list goes on. So I don't know what's happened to Joseph Connors. I'm quite upset with it, just on a wrestling fan level. Nothing against the tournament. It's just very confusing to me. The commentators in this tournament, I have immediately noticed that they're emphasizing names, like really trying to get these particularly 4 guys over, as opposed to anyone else. The Jordan Devlin match in round 1 hasn't been on YouTube. That's the only round 1 match that hasn't aired yet. Mm-hmm. I would assume he wins, but I also assume Joseph Connors would win his first round match. But the 4 names are Travis Banks, which makes sense, Progress champion with that tie-in with WWE now. Joe Coffey, a big heavy hitter. He's one of the like superstars of ICW. Another WWE tie-in. You see where this is going?
Sure.
Flash Morgan Webster, they were really harping on, and that, I mean, he's an OTT, ICW, and mostly Progress, so another cross-promotion there. He's definitely like a babyface to root for. I'm getting the feeling they want to push him like Tyler Bate in the first UK tournament. I hope not, because I just don't buy Webster as a long-term guy to go with. He's one of he's like his name. He's a flash in the pan for good little short storylines, and you move on. He's the type of guy that should come in every once in a while. I don't think he's the type of guy to make a long run in the tournament. But I'm very afraid now that they will do that with the guy based on what the commentators were emphasizing on. There's like, he's a British luchador, pretty much, or this Japanese, you know, he's pulling Japanese armbar style moves. You're really putting him over the top, so the commentators have me worried in that. And then the last guy really, really has me worried going forward, and that's Zach Gibson, whom I've spoken of quite a few times on this podcast. Rad, if you recognize the name.
Mm-hmm. I do recall.
Yeah, from Progress and OTT. He's booked as a tag team wrestler. He gets a tag partner from various other promotions. And he is like one of the most hated guys in Europe right now. Just because he's talky. Everyone hates him. They boo him out of the building as hard as they can, and he just kind of sticks around, and he wins matches in very heelish fashions. Is he a long-term worker in the ring? I mean, he's decent. He's okay. He's not gonna blow you out of the water with a match, that's for sure. I can't. Like I've seen 100 Zach Gibson matches. That might be over exaggerating, but you get the idea there. I've seen him a lot, and no single Gibson match like truly stands out to me at all. But the way the commentators were trying to get him over as like he's Liverpool's #1, which is his catchphrase. He's gonna be UK's #1. Like Dunn is the goal, and I'm wondering if when the UK tournament in our next podcast episode, when we cover that, he'll get mic time, and if they're in the UK, which they are in the UK covering this, right?
Sure. I mean, I think that's the point.
I think that's the point. Yeah. If he doesn't get booed out of the building like he does in the Indies, I will be very confused if they still book him to go over. But if he's booked to go forward, like he was booked in Super Strong Style 16, fairly strong, but heavy heelish tactics, as I mentioned, but he didn't get to the finals or anything. Like, he went out to much better wrestlers, to put on, you know, a better semifinal or final match to really get the crowd over. So I'm definitely worried for either. So based on the commentary, where I'm going with this is it's either, and I put out a tweet earlier before the cast, I go, based on what I'm hearing, it's either going to be Coffee against Flash Morgan Webster. It would just be a powerhouse against a babyface, which just screams WWE, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Or it would be Banks versus Zach Gibson, which again screams WWE at its finest. So if it's, I only see either Gibson or not, Gibson or Webster winning this thing, and that really gets me worried to see a good tournament showing. Is what I'm saying. I'm worried for the tournament. That's only round 1, though.
Oh man,
that's only based on what I've seen after round
sure.
1. Just
so yeah, we have the entire tournament to, I guess, see how it pans out.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that they just didn't they just didn't tell us everything right away. Is what I'm saying. I really hope that's not true. But yeah, that's just the intro I wanted to get out of the way. I'm very upset Joseph Connors isn't. We're not going to see more of him. So, what are your? Do you have any concerns based on what I said, or do you want to go on the side of optimism and hope like it's the Jordan Devlin, Travis Banks route that I as an indie wrestling fan am just salivating for hoping for?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I think you know, what you're basing it on is just like what you've seen, so far. I'm confident that it's only the beginning, so it can go either way. Let's hope that is the case, as the tournament, progresses. But yeah, I mean, it would definitely be sad if it doesn't. So let's hope. I am an optimistic guy, but we do know how booking is, so it can go either way.
I'm waning on the side of optimism because as it was announced, well, I believe it was today, might have been yesterday, that WWE has branded an NXT UK promotion as like a weekly show as well. So they got another NXT started in Europe. So the takeover of the UK, the United Kingdom, Ireland, Scotland, it's Wales. It's all sort of coming into fruition now with all of this.
Right.
With this new NXT. So luckily, the superstars involved haven't signed exclusive deals. They can still go to their indie promotions and work on their craft, their art, their skills, work on their promotion skills. To me, that's very good, as opposed to what we see in NXT in the States here.
Mm-hmm.
More time on the mic is always good to hone, and more wrestling matches to hone your craft is also always good. While I feel the NXT guys in the States never get enough mic time, which really hurts them when they get to the main roster. And it doesn't give them enough versatile opponents to hone their craft.
Right.
Because when, for example, who comes to mind? Let's just say Sami Zayn. He's a good example. NXT killed it, but he faced Kevin Owens, Shinsuke, and various other opponents that he was already familiar with on the indies, and then
Right.
when he goes to the main roster and he has to fight, I don't know who comes to mind, Bobby Lashley. Well, we see we see
Bobby
what
Lashley.
happens. They're very. You can definitely tell that they're not used to each other in the ring, or they're
It's a different ball game, and I think between being a fan of both, mainstream wrestling is completely different from the indie scene, and the wrestling that they just I guess showcase is just a different performance. And like you mentioned, the guys that he's already wrestled for in the past, obviously it showed, and those matches were phenomenal. Going back to Sami Zayn's match against Shinsuke Nakamura at that takeover before, what was it, WrestleMania 32?
right.
It was an amazing, incredible match. But like you said, then you have him facing guys like Bobby Lashley as of late. Ironically, we're just talking about Dolph Ziggler, another guy. It's like they just don't connect. You can tell there's no chemistry there, and I blame it on the different styles of wrestling that they have.
And I honestly blame it on the booking as well.
That has a lot to do with it.
There's no long-term story. Like one of the key components to long-term storyline. This is why we see a lot of matches in Japan in particular. That's all promotions. That's New Japan, Noah, which we'll get to later, and All Japan, where they have long-term storylines booked, because then over that time the wrestlers clearly practice against their opponent coming up.
Yeah.
Not everybody is a super veteran like Chris Jericho and then can just get in the ring and freaking put on a 5-star match against someone he's never wrestled before. Not everyone's Chris Jericho.
No, not everyone's Chris Jericho, and you could definitely tell when it's been practiced and the choreography has been done before.
Yeah,
versus it happening organically live as we speak, going back to somebody like
which isn't
Chris
necessarily
Jericho.
a bad thing either. I'm okay with choreography every once
Obviously,
in a while.
yeah. I mean, look at Savage and Ricky Steamboat from WrestleMania 3, probably one of the greatest choreographed matches of all time, and it
Absolutely.
worked.
I believe The Rock, Stone Cold choreographed their WrestleMania 17 match as well.
Yeah.
And everyone was all upset with that when the camera came and they were kind of rehearsing in cold moves. I'm like, behave,
sure. But out of their trilogy of matches at Mania, everybody still seems to look at that one as their best match.
Yeah. So we got but moving on. We digress, of course. That was just I just thought that was a good little topic to start off the show with. Good little intro, and let's get into our wrestler spotlight of the cast.
Oh, totally.
Oh, one of my favorite things. And I'm gonna play Bullet Club. Alrighty, Rad. Why don't you take this one away?
Sure. Okay, so this Red Leaf Wrestlecast Wrestler Spotlight actually goes to, I think, in my opinion, one of the greatest women's wrestlers, of all time. She's an incredible performer, has quite the resume, and she is a veteran of professional wrestling, and that's none other than Gail Kim. I understand that you're also a huge fan of hers as well, JD.
Oh man, to me, like, this always. Anytime I meet a wrestling fan and I tell them, I'm a big heavy fan of women's wrestling. I like what I see. A lot of matches are duds. Let's be honest. But when you see a good one, it's truly revolutionary and impressing. That we've reached a time in wrestling going back from the steroid era to now, the opposite gender starting to put together just as good as matches as the men. I mean, it just gives me a happy feeling inside. And
Sure.
the first couple names that come to mind are, at least going back to the Attitude Era and to the present, it's always Trish Stratus and Lita. But everyone always seems to gloss over the fact that Gail Kim was probably the original, at least what I think, the original trailblazer to solid matches.
Not to mention, I think in her matches against the likes of Trish Stratus and Lita, she, I mean, not that they were already good, and Trish Stratus to me is still also probably my favorite women's wrestler of all time, but you could tell that their matches, or the matches they had with Gail Kim really brought out the best in them, and
absolutely, she was way ahead of them in terms of skill.
Definitely.
Like, Lita took the bumps, sure, you can't take that away from her. Trish Stratus went from a the blonde, big-titted manager to a phenomenal women's wrestler that changed the game.
Definitely.
But Gail Kim was first and foremost along that, and I'll definitely get into the whole blonde and big tits later. As I was on Logan's Future Wrestling podcast last night, post Money in the Bank, that was a key phrase I kept bringing up during any of the women's matches. So that'll definitely come up later. But we're here to talk about Gail Kim. Why don't you keep it going, Rad?
Yeah, sure. So, Gail Kim, she had incredible matches in the WWE, but I feel we didn't really see what she was capable of until she ended up at, Impact Wrestling and Total Nonstop Action, TNA Impact Wrestling. And a lot of the things that she was able to accomplish there, the moves that she was able to do, just the fact, and this is something that I am a huge, advocate for, is that whatever women's revolution that wrestling fans are discussing now around what's going on in the WWE, or at least the past 2 to 3 years with what they started, the Knockouts division has always been my favorite women's division in all of pro wrestling, and I think it still holds up today as one of the greatest women's divisions in professional wrestling. And the Knockouts, they did it first, and you're talking about as early as 2007. When they just let Gail Kim take off as I guess their top women's wrestler. They had an amazing roster as well of other women, and they just went out there and they just kicked ass. And that's something that we weren't seeing in the WWE, at least not at the time. It was still at the peak of the Ruthless Aggression era. Obviously, they were selling the TNA. They were just out there for the looks. Bra and panties matches. They weren't. We just didn't get, I guess, what we really wanted, and that was two women going at it in a professional wrestling match. Now it's everywhere, but back then it wasn't like that, and TNA really had it down in the Knockouts division with Gail Kim as the face of the women's division over there in TNA. So I just think that she really had that chance to shine. We know she left WWE on controversial terms, where she just had enough of the BS and the booking around the women. So
and you can't blame her either.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. The women's division was garbage at that point. We might have gotten like a good match here and there, but it was very rare. And you're talking about like maybe a 5-minute match of just hair pulling and bulldogs 1, 2, 3, and that was it. The women just never really got to shine the way they shine now. Gail Kim had enough of it, and she ended up going to TNA. And I'm just going by, what the agenda here in front of us, JD, and I know that we have her match at Slammiversary 11, 2013, and that was against Taryn Terrell. incredible match. Still one of my favorite matches of all time. I remember watching it live, and I was just holy shit. They went at it in a last woman or last knockout standing,
Yeah.
and it was brutal, man.
Pretty funny,
And
since we just watched a last man standing match with two of the best technical wrestlers in the world right now, arguably.
oh, definitely, and that was a good match, by the way. But I guess we'll go ahead and
we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. But yeah, so here we had Gail Kim going up against Taryn Terrell in a last knockout standing match, Slammiversary 2013, and incredible match. There was just a lot of awesome, spots. Taryn Terrell was doing moves that we never really saw her doing. For example, doing a crossbody. There was chair shots. Like maybe 3 or 4 times in the match. We had the crowd chanting "Holy shit!" This is wrestling, stuff like that, and it showed. Again, it's one of my favorite matches. I know it got very good reviews that year. And Gail Kim definitely brought out the best in Taryn Terrell, who wasn't really noticed for her wrestling, skills, and she really
Taryn Terrell, if I'm not mistaken, was a member on WWE's Tough Enough, and she got cut due to, I could be mistaken. I tried to confirm this, but got cut due to controversial terms because she refused to be a part of kind of the basically the same thing Gail Kim refused to do after a while, and she wanted to be a wrestler, and TNA, sure they lacked a lot of the high-end training that WWE would be capable of. Not at the time in WWE, may I remind you, for the women in particular, but at least TNA had like a starting ground. And Taryn Terrell really improved in her time from her debut to getting the championship and running with it. Plus, she had that dick heel personality of "I'm better than you, I'm a hot woman," and Gail Kim, "You're not attractive." Yeah. It was
incredible rivalry.
It was such a I was into the rivalry, but I was always into a lot of the rivalries. That was kind of TNA's thing, though. It was, they had the beautiful people stable where it was we're beautiful and everyone else is ugly, but they never really took it too far. It was always still believable. Not in our PC world right now, obviously, but in 2013, it still worked. Very shocking that this was only a 10-minute match. This was also featuring ODB as special guest referee. I don't remember the story behind it all, but I know ODB and Gail Kim were like buddies at the time, trying to go against the Terrell little faction that she had going.
Right. Something, except in this one, JD, or maybe the faction was already there. I need to, go back and take a look, since I only went back and just checked out this match, not really the storylines leading up to it, and it's been a while. I can't.
Yeah, really I loosely remember, but that's okay. We're concentrating on the match.
Yeah,
anyways.
But either way, they had an amazing, performance from the two. Incredible match, and like I said, it's still one of my favorites today. And they were in the small venue of TNA, which housed maybe 1,000 at the most, 900 or 1,000 seats, and the crowd was just on fire, man. They were really into it, and it looked like you were watching, a match that would be taking place on WWE TV instead. So it looked amazing on TV, incredible performance, and like I said, it still holds up today. And this is something that I just want to point out, that it's just a perfect example that the Knockouts did it first, way before this women's revolution even started. So we've been seeing this before, just outside of WWE. Yeah,
this was 5 years ago upon recording this cast. Let me just go over some of the spots in this, because I wrote them all down because I was just so impressed, because I ended up watching this twice. I watched it first time for the concentration, then the second time just to be like, okay, this happened, click, this happened. All right.
Oh, cool.
Because it was super fun. Starts off a bit slow with elbows and whatnot. Then Kim brings in a chair, and the match picks up into essentially trading spots, but in a good way. I'm usually not a fan of trading spots at all, because then you're just copying each other until the match ends. But the way it worked was interesting. Terrell does the crossbody off the top rope, something you mentioned, something we'd really never seen before. But Kim's holding the chair simultaneously and cracks her, basically. Really cool. No, Terrell lands on the chair and hits Kim for emphasis. Now I remember. So the match goes on. Kim starts working the legs and does a figure 4 on Terrell off the post, very Bret Hart style. Like I was like, I kind of marked out there a little bit.
Right.
And then as Terrell makes it to her feet, Kim attempts a spear in the corner, but Terrell dodges it, causing Kim to spear the chair that was earlier set up in the corner. And that's when the crowd just went insane, because Kim hits the chair and just falls to the ground outside the ring. Crazy dangerous spot.
Yeah.
I don't think we just watched a women's Money in the Bank ladder match, and no spot in that entire match even matched this dive into the chair going to the outside.
Oh no.
Wasn't even close. Super dangerous. That just, to me, that proves Kim's work rate and how safe she still kept herself by also putting her body on the line. Very cool. And this actually rolled into something later where it was almost like they were trying to one-up each other. You know, very Ricochet Dream style. Another call-out to what we'll cover later. Just trying to one-up each other. Because then Terrell turns and applies the same figure 4, this time on Kim, like kind of get a revenge thing, work her leg. Terrell misses a spear going through the ropes onto the ramp. And it's important to say that the same level, the ramp was the same level as the ring. Still cool, but you heard the big pop as she slapped on the ground hard. Crowd pops again. Then it was just a back and forth reversal on the ramp of one trying to get one over on the other until finally Terrell does a jumping cutter off the ramp to the ground and just barely makes it to her feet in the wind. I'm like, holy crap, because I thought Kim was going to win this match.
Yeah, so did I. And you know, with that being said, that was an awesome finish.
Like the way the camera was placed, they just disappear onto the ground to emphasize how far off the ramp or how high the ramp was, and that jumping cutter, very cool. And I think this cemented Terrell as a legitimate champion, and people wanted to see her going forward. So Kim put one over to make another wrestler look better, which is what is something she was so good at in the ring.
Yeah, definitely. And this, you know, obviously they already had a rivalry and storylines, you know, and some sort of build-up going into this match, but this was already like the beginning to a long-standing rivalry, and I think they had even some more incredible matches, you know, after.
Yeah. No, it didn't end there. I believe this was one of the few 4-star plus women's matches that outside of Japan, because Japan's been doing that since the 80s.
Sure.
But at the time, streaming service and everything wasn't available. Stardom and other promotions, just not worldwide. Impact made this. I feel Impact / TNA was the company that brought women's wrestling to more of a world perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Gail Kim was on the forefront of it all.
Yeah.
And that goes into the second match, which was the other woman who was on the forefront of the early women's revolution. And it was Gail Kim's opponent. One of the best rivalries in women's wrestling ever, you might say.
Oh, yeah.
Take it away, Red.
Yeah, so, you know, Gail Kim, Awesome Kong, another rival happened earlier on. This is, you know, goes back to probably starting in 2007, and the match that we're touching base on is Final Resolution 2008, the beginning of the year. That was for the women's title, and it was a no disqualification match. Obviously, Gail Kim was the very first Knockouts champion, which he just won at Bound for Glory 2007,
Mm-hmm.
and that what was it, a women's gauntlet battle royal type of match. You know, so she won the championship, and Awesome Kong, you know, obviously still wanted to get her hands on that title, and you know, they continue to have matches after, and they had an incredible no DQ match over at Final Resolution 2008. You know, another, I guess, example of no matter how, I guess, small the venue is, you know, the crowd was just hot for this one. You know, they were definitely into it. And you know, at the time, like you just mentioned earlier, that we wouldn't really see women's matches like this unless it was in Japan. So this was obviously, you know, one of the best non-Japan women's matches of all time. And it was, I have to give credit to the booking and, how they definitely booked storylines and the characters going into this match. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on this match at Final Resolution.
Oh man, it's definitely the story of two people just didn't want to put up with WWE's nonsense and proving WWE that we don't need you. Awesome Kong was Karma in WWE when she made her debut, and she had a kid, and then there was a falling out with WWE.
I remember.
Yeah, and then Karma went to Japan and trained for a while, and upon her return, she became Awesome Kong, and the 6 foot, well, I think she's 6'1" or 2" or something, like 250 pounds of just raw.
Yeah.
And they booked her as such. Like, no one can take her, even men. Like, that's very important to emphasize, because she was booked.
She was a monster.
She's booked what Nia Jax should be booked right now.
Yeah, totally.
Easily. There's like you see so many similarities to him, well, outside of the fact that Awesome Kong can actually wrestle and Nia Jax can't.
Right.
We'll get there. But I love how something so simple. I want the title. No, I have the title. I'm a monster. Well, I'm the good guy. It's so basic. But if you do it right, then the crowd will be invested in it and want to see it. And this gritty, hot, like, it felt like the crowd was stuck in a cage and they wanted to see these people rip them apart. That's how hot they were for this rivalry. The match went to the outside. Gail Kim was just getting the shit kicked out of her the whole time. Awesome Kong was like looking like beating up commentary at one point. She like slapped one of them, I think. She was throwing. They went into the crowd. Gail Kim was pulling. There was one point where Gail Kim pulled a water bottle off a fan and started hitting Kong in the head with it, just to get away. Like it was like just little touches like that. I don't think that was rehearsed. But it was good. Like there was a good spot where Kong did a kind of got her by the legs and just threw her into the side of the wall and poster, and Kim was just kind of just trying to survive, and no matter what she did, she couldn't get away until and just being resilient. It's almost like that's how they booked Daniel Bryan later, when he was going against the Authority, as WWE likes to book things.
Right.
But how did this match end up going at the end, Rad? I loved it.
Yeah, so you had Awesome Kong pretty much being I guess dominant. She was even getting like pissed off and resilient. She ends up attacking the referee. I think she gave the referee a power bomb, and then
because she's like, that was 3, and he's like, no, 2, and like, you're lying.
yeah, so she definitely played that role very well, and then after a choke slam, Gail Kim ends up kicking out. So that's where Awesome Kong tries to power bomb the referee. And,
a second referee.
I mean, because they were already sending others out, and Gail Kim just rolls up Kong to escape with the win, and it's just here she is, still the Knockouts champion, and it's also what happened after. There was this rivalry was far from over, and they were still in a fight, even though after the match had ended. So obviously this wasn't the last that the two were gonna step foot and see each other face to face.
Yeah, it was really good, even though it was a no DQ. The roll up win just wasn't enough. Kong wasn't having it. Gail Kim was trying to defend herself, basically. People from the back were trying to separate the two, and you're just like, oh my god, I can't wait for this to continue, because Kim got away with one. Kong was clearly gonna win, but her emotions got the best of her. Like there's so much storyline there just in the rivalry. Definitely something even the women and men on mainstream wrestling just lack today.
Yeah, definitely.
And by mainstream, we know what company I'm referring to. So,
big question mark.
Oh man, Gail Kim, a real trailblazer. She just recently retired at the end of last year, in fact, right? Officially, she retired, and
yeah. Actually, she officially retired last year, and they inducted her into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Bound for Glory weekend.
Only the 4th person in Impact to be inducted in such a thing, and I don't see her going into WWE's Hall of Fame just on that fact, because the majority of her career and where she made her mark wasn't in WWE, and that's fine.
Right.
But WWE would be foolish not to recognize her, at least, much like what they did with Sting.
Yeah, definitely. She definitely needs to be, recognized. But hey, I mean, at least right now the Hall of Fame and TNA is pretty much a very elite group. So, she's in it. So that's really cool. And, funny story, I actually congratulated her the moment that I think she made the announcement. I don't remember, it was sometime around Slammiversary time,
Right.
or maybe a little bit before that. She mentioned that, look, I'm already announcing I'm going to retire later this year. I'm just not done wrestling yet. You'll find out later. Obviously, we found out that it was around the time that she was going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. But I think I congratulated her or something like that on Twitter, and I ended up getting a like. And it's kind of tough to get a like from her, so
Right.
that was pretty cool.
Oh man. That's cool. I'd like to. I'd love to have a one-on-one conversation with her, and especially like what got her, what was the tipping point and her leaving WWE, and what was her motivation,
especially now after all that history. That would be great, because I actually met her, JD. I know that you attended WrestleMania in Houston. That was the 25th anniversary as well. I was over at Fan Access, and the booth that I was waiting at or standing in line at, they switched them up and whatnot. It was Gail Kim and Molly Holly, so I had the privilege and the honor to meet Gail Kim. But you know how Fan Access with WWE is. It's not like WrestleCon. They kind of like rush it, so I couldn't really have a conversation with her. The best thing I said at the time was "Welcome back to WWE," but I don't think she was very happy about that. Obviously, I think she had a better run in TNA, so
probably not. You should have said like "Welcome to TNA."
Yeah. So now I would love to definitely see her again, and kind of like switch that up, because obviously when I met her and I said "Welcome back to WWE," she did not have a good run at all. So and she ended up leaving again going back to that on.
Oh yeah, it was very fast. She was booked into obscurity. She was just like any other wrestler, and we're definitely seeing that with all the women now, in fact. It's a shame. It's a shame that what happened. But Gail Kim, I will remember her for the rest of my life easily as one of the best women wrestlers of all time. She might be number one as it stands right now from what I've seen. She's definitely. I still put her over Trish Stratus and Lita, just from a pure wrestling standpoint, easily.
Yeah, definitely. Damn good wrestler.
Oh yeah. So, let's move on to our indie scene, Rad.
You got it.
Oh man, I am excited for this as I play Walter's music. Oh, that music never gets old. Freaking,
no, it doesn't.
Yeah, Symphony Number 9, like I don't know the exact one what it is, but it's crazy. It's crazy. It's awesome entrance music. So, as we do with the indie scene, we call this Tier 3. That's everything not WWE, New Japan, and Ring of Honor. And we go through a little bit quicker, but there's a lot to go over. I've kind of condensed this into more important things. Rad?
Okay. I'm done.
Heavy thunder going outside right now. Wow. You're definitely going to hear that.
Let's hope your internet doesn't shut down.
Dude, it's like shaking the apartment. Okay. That was wild. So, May 20th to June 10th, Progress Chapter 69 and 70. Won't be going over Chapter 70 because it was some comedy show with a 70s theme for some reason. Had nothing to do with anything. It was just a fun, goofy comedy show. So if you like that in your wrestling, kind of like the goofiness of like OTT when they do sometimes, definitely check it out. So the most we're going to get is Chapter 69 this time. Good number, by the way. Which began with our boy Zach Gibson, who I just talked about earlier on the cast.
Right.
And James Drake, the grizzled young veterans, the tag champs. Very hated. Basically, they said they've beaten everybody, and they're going to take the summer off pretty much. But management has made a tag team tournament, and it starts tonight. Aussie Open, I believe, was in the first match, and they won pretty easily. So that kind of opens up a tag team tournament in progress, which I'm always up for a tournament, aren't you, Rad?
Oh yeah, definitely. I love tournaments.
Yeah, it's immediately investing into the wrestlers, and the storyline kind of writes itself. But you can also get some new rivalries immediately built in the coming matches and what have you. So just like what happened in the UK tournament with Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, and look what we got out of that. A trilogy of just fantastic matches.
Totally.
Later in the night was David Starr versus Walter. This is their 9th match just in progress. I've literally lost track of how many times they've fought, but it seems like every Defiance got their own number. WXW has their own number now. The point is, David Starr loses to Walter like every time.
Right.
So the saga of Starr unable to beat Walter continues here. This time, this is crazy, Rad. How I've seen these two they face each other in all these different promotions now every time, and yet it always seems like it's a new match between the two. I think that speaks testament to how much Walter can work with guys smaller than him, and how much David Starr is actually a really fucking good wrestler, despite his questionable character work sometimes. Starr heavily worked Walter's leg. I think that kind of goes into kayfabe with Walter losing in WXW by tapping out twice to Zack Sabre Jr. and Ilya, what we just went over in the last couple casts. At one point, Starr kicks the leg out, and Walter's sitting down, and he's like protecting the leg, which then leads him open up to taking a super kick from David Starr to the face.
Oh man, okay.
I thought it was a really cool, like, subtle body motion, like telling the in-ring story.
Right.
Again, Walter's amazing. I think that, and the two work incredible together. The match ends by Starr going for a leg lock, right? And Walter just kind of rolls him up in a small package. And Starr is incredibly upset. He is beside himself because he knows he was like that close to getting him finally. So he's getting closer and closer with a lot of these matches coming up. Man, he was like, it was like borderline WCW Chris Jericho tantrum. I thought he was gonna throw something like beat up a ref,
tear up signs and whatnot.
But no, he hasn't reached the tipping point yet. I think, quote me on this, I think if he loses one more time to Walter, be it in especially in Progress, he's gonna turn heel. And
you can definitely, I guess, see the build already towards that.
Oh yeah. It's very cool. I am invested so much, and it's like just a minute little storyline just across Europe. It's pretty cool. That's just kind of indie wrestling marking out at its finest. That's me.
Nice.
But probably the highlight of the night, at least for me, came midway, and that was WXW's Christian Michael Jacobi. Vince McMahon of WXW, for those casuals out there, Rad, comes out, and he comes out post the British Strong Style match. They lost to Havoc, Haskins, and Webster, and he confronts Pete Dunne in the ring, right? If you remember our last cast, CMJ here called out Pete Dunne to wrestle Ilya Dragunov at Wembley in September. Didn't get an answer. So Pete Dunne's like, oh, I don't know, because he doesn't really talk all that much. He just kind of smirks. So CMJ goes, well,
it's all in the face.
Yeah, I'm tired of waiting for your answer because it's too late, because I have a surprise for you. And Dragunov's music hits, and the crowd goes insane. The first time he's ever stepped inside a Progress arena. And they just go face to face, and the match is made officially. Just super simple storytelling, immediate, just Progress versus WXW, like right there. And there's a little bit of a cross-promotion rivalry now that's totally developed between Progress and WXW. You got Starr versus Walter. You got Dragunov against Dunne. You know, there's a few other things happening there. Banks Walter is another one that's happening. With the main title, it's building slowly, so I'm wondering if something's gonna happen. Not so much an invasion angle, but I could see like an interference of somebody from another promotion just interrupting a match in another promotion for sure.
Oh, that'd be pretty cool. Invasion.
Yeah, not a complete invasion, but like maybe a wrestler or two will come over and start some trouble.
At least some sort of crossover.
Yeah, for sure. So Banks then has his title match against Jack Sexsmith, which I kind of spoke, not nonchalantly, but I wasn't too high on this match going into it because it just felt like Progress's questionable booking decisions. This match was a no sell extraordinaire. At least they booked Sexsmith pretty strong here. He passed out to a Lion's Clutch. Banks retains.
Oh wow, okay. So they just the ref called the match technical.
Yeah. The match was okay. I mean, if you're into like an indie no sell style, then this will be for you. It's not what I like out of my wrestling. Yeah, no one was selling nothing. It was worse than what I see out of Matt Riddle's in this match. Actually,
okay.
Yeah, it was a mess, if you ask me. So going back to the last podcast episode, Walter relinquished the Atlas title so he can go after Banks's Progress title. So there's the title's vacant, so they had a fatal 4-way of who's available. And for those that aren't familiar with the Atlas title, that's 205 pounds and above. The opposite of the cruiserweight, because much European wrestlers are much smaller.
Yeah.
So the match consisted of Douglas Williams, Joseph Connors, Rob Lynch, huge guy, and Rampage Brown, the other big dude, the current Defiant champion, actually. It was good overall, and Doug Williams wins his first match in 4 years in Progress. That goes back to single-digit Progress chapters. And he pinned Joseph Connors. So Joseph Connors eats a pin here as well. So this goes into my more confusion over what's happening with Joseph Connors. But yeah, real good feeling. The crowd went insane for Douglas Williams. He was kind of had a little tear in his eye because he hadn't won a match there in God knows how long, 4 years.
Oh man.
Yeah. But definitely the match of the storyline and match of the night was definitely the main event, which was champion Toni Storm loses the Progress title, the women's Progress title, a day short of a year to Jinny, House of Couture. She finally lost, and it was a slobber knocker, Rad, you might say. It was Jinny, House of Couture has her two little minions to the side. Toni Storm has defended her title the last couple times against the House of Couture, so the whole storyline was Jinny kind of sicked her minions to face Toni so she could scout her like she knows her. Lots of build, good rivalry, a lot of mental stuff. At one point, the minions had Toni Storm kind of in an arm lock, and Jinny was drawing lipstick all over her face. And the match continued. Oh yeah, it was really cool.
Sounds like good stuff, man.
Yeah, it got really physical. At one point, Toni Storm did her strong zero pile driver on Jinny on the top of the ramp. They got back in the ring, and in the end, it was a cheap little heel roll up win in the end after like some heelish interference, and Jinny got it over. So, and if you're not hyped enough after that, because Toni Storm just goes, "I want my fucking title back," and she kind of walks out of the ring. I'm not done, you know. Jinny, Toni Storm, Killer Kelly, and Ilya from OTT are in the UK tournament for that Fatal 4-Way to face Shayna Baszler.
Mm-hmm.
So 4 very strong, promising. All 4 of them have more in-ring work and and skill than Baszler. So that should be any one of those 4 could win that and put on a good match. I'm quite excited. Naturally, Rad, we're rooting for Toni Storm, though, right?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Toni Storm all the way, man.
So, crazy cool. I look forward to the next Progress event. I hope it's not another goofy little filler chapter. That's what Chapter 70 was. But Progress is still looking good, man, despite some of the questionable booking decisions.
Yeah, that sounded like a fun show.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it. It was a lot of indie shows, whether it's OTT, ICW, Progress. I like their whole little chapter events, or what WXW is with their they call them tour events. They're not quite pay-per-views, you know, but they feel big enough to be something you should care about. They always seem to book it that way. They even give them like goofy names. I don't write the names down, but they're pretty goofy. It makes them feel individual from each other. It's not just, oh, it's another Monday Night Raw.
Oh, okay, I see. So yeah, each individual show has its own theme or name or whatever.
Yeah, I kind of like that. And they all have their own and they all have their own stories going into it, and then they continue on to the next event, but it sticks to the theme of that next event. I quite like it. I quite like it. It keeps it from going stale. So just real quick, Defiant Wrestling had a Road to Destruction. We're not covering their Built to Destroy pay-per-view, which was upon recording last night. It's not out yet. They had a triple threat match for the internet title, Road to Destruction. The backstory from from our last podcast episode was Walter and Banks went to a no decision, kind of a double. Banks tapped out to Walter, but Banks also pinned Walter, if you remember that, Rad.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, well, Zack Sabre Jr. came in, and he's like, well, I was never pinned for the internet title, so I want in too. So it became a triple threat match.
Triple threat match, okay.
3 fantastic wrestlers. This is arguably, in my opinion, it's the best Defiant Wrestling match to date ever, and it's free on YouTube. You can go watch it.
I'm gonna have to check it out. I remember them promoting it and whatnot. I just never got the chance to take a look. Extremely
hard hitting. Walter dominated both Banks and Sabre. He just chopped the shit out of him until he won. It was a beatdown. Walter looked incredibly strong. He won this match. He's the new internet champion. Like, holy crap. Zack Sabre Jr. was bleeding from the chest at the end of it. Banks got pinned in the end, and Sabre's like, oh, well, shit, look at me.
Oh, wow. So the bleeding on the chest, was that because of Walter's chops?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, how many did he take, more or less?
I lost count, because...
Oh, it was that many.
Yeah, I mean, they literally couldn't stay on their feet when they got chopped anymore. It's seeing Walter chop someone of Zack Sabre Jr.'s size just looks like an adult beating up a small child every time. It's just it's you almost feel bad that you're entertained by it, but you know Zack Sabre Jr. can take it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Best Defiant match in the history of the promotion, in my opinion. Definitely go check it out. It's free on YouTube. This brings us in now to something, Rad, you might be really interested in. I definitely got you to watch at least one of the matches. What we're about to talk
definitely.
about, and that since we talked about Gail Kim,
phenomenal.
and we're gonna go into definitely women's wrestling when we get to WWE later. As after this, I'll speed up through the rest of what's gonna happen. But this is Stardom. Finally, I got to watch a big Stardom event, and for those that aren't familiar with Stardom, it is the top Japanese women's wrestling promotion. And just before we go into that, I got some good wrestling promotions. If you're into women's wrestling, definitely try and check these out. They do have, it's Shimmer, Pro Wrestling Eve out of the UK, GWF Women out of Germany, Stardom, and Tokyo Joshi Pro out of Japan. And then, if you want to go into more kind of the mainstream, you have, and yes, I am saying Defiance Women's Division is more mainstream. Impact, the Knockouts, which we discussed with Gail Kim. Ring of Honor is getting the Women of Honor thing. That's rising pretty fast. And, of course, WWE. Just based on the exposure the women wrestlers have. As much as I like to hate on WWE, it is a fact that we see the most... we get the most exposure out of that promotion with the women wrestling.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Women's wrestling right now is definitely on the map. It's the best time to be a fan of women's pro wrestling.
For sure. And when we're done with this Stardom conversation, I do have one question for you, Rad. So hopefully you can remind me if I forget.
Okay, sounds good.
So there was 2 events. One was the Shining Stars, and then one was the Gold Star. There was a 3-team, 3-person tournament for the vacant artist title, which is their 6-person tag title. In Stardom. Neat little rivalry developed between various factions in the in the promotion, they had a little best friend feel kind of deal where Kagetsu of I can't even Odio Tai, she has her own little faction there. Then you have like a junior faction. You have Io Shirai's kind of Queen's Quest faction. You know, the list goes on there. Pretty cool stuff. Definitely get some story behind it. There was a fantastic tag match on day one where Io Shirai and one of the better wrestlers in the promotion, AZM, I think they pronounce it Azm in Stardom, was against the challenger for Io Shirai's white belt title, Momo Watanabe, with her partner, Konami. Not to be confused with the shitty gaming company now.
Good one.
Yeah, I couldn't resist. Yeah, good tag match. One of the better women's tag matches this year, for sure. I think that was a testament to also the women involved in the match. Very cool. If you have a chance, definitely go check that out as well, Rad. Just to see, get a feel for the other three women. Definitely keep an eye on them. But the one we're here talking about is Io Shirai versus Momo Watanabe for the white belt, otherwise known as the Wonder of Stardom belt.
Right.
That is not the top belt. It's probably ranked like second best, but it has a lot of prestige within the company because it used to be you had to be a full-time wrestler in Stardom to even go for the belt. They kind of got rid of that rule, but they still kind of loosely follow it to keep the prestige behind the belt. So that's a little history behind that. And okay. Going into this, Momo Watanabe's this like hot up and comer, young lion, you might say. And Io Shirai is, well, it's fucking Io Shirai, the best women's wrestler on the planet.
Yeah.
The ace of Stardom. She even comes out to like a hybrid music of seemingly Naito and Tanahashi. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Her entrance attire too, man. God, that's something else.
Oh, it's fucking awesome. She comes out with a giant black flag like a pirate. It says Queen's Quest on it. She has a big like flamboyant black robe with tassels and shit coming off it. She wears a tiger mask. Like her presence is immediately felt. She stands out among all the others. And then Momo Watanabe, she's only 18, Rad. 18 years old. So this is like Millie McKenzie over in the UK type.
Oh yeah.
Type skill level and potential.
So good. Such a young age.
Such a young age, and naturally they're going to be on the greener side. You know, limited on the move set. You know, they don't have enough to go on. But when they do pull off certain moves, it's very surprising. So I want to know what you thought of this match, of this Io Shirai match.
Oh man, it was freaking fantastic. You know, you could tell that there was a lot of importance wrapped around it. And the funny thing is that when you told me to check this one out, which I did, I actually originally thought that this was her farewell match. So I could just feel the importance in it. Of course, I think sometime late last night, she ended up having another match. And I think that might have been her farewell, as we know that she's, leaving. What are the rumors that she's on her way to NXT now or something like that? But either way, I guess we'll touch base on that on a later podcast. But as of right now, regarding the match, man, it was just amazing. Like these women, incredible performance from the two. They just went at it. It was back and forth action, reversal upon reversal. They had the moves that they were doing were definitely moves that you will not see in the WWE. Totally banned because I guess of the danger behind it, but these women really know what they're doing. And
at least in the sense of what Momo Watanabe's kind of finisher, that she tried to pull it off like 3 or 4 times, and she even hit it 3 or 4 times. There was a good little spot where she tried to do. It's like a you got them on a reverse pile driver, but then you hook the legs in front of you, and then you just sit down on their shoulders. And she tried to do it from the top rope, and luckily Io Shirai was able to get out of that, and it was a pretty intense spot that they were going for. It was a reverse spot. A lot of people don't. I feel like a lot of modern wrestlers don't appreciate when a spot's reversed like that.
Oh yeah, no, they don't, and that's something that I definitely appreciate. I freaking love the way that looks on TV because you just sense that the match itself is important, and these two are really were paired together for a reason. You know, it makes it come off as more of a competition, you know, versus just a choreographed match as we went in, you know, a little bit before on the podcast. But yeah, I mean, I was just very impressed by the moves. This was I've already seen a Io Shirai match before, but this was the first time that I saw one from Momo Watanabe, and I have to say that she's an incredible performer. I knew she definitely looked young. I just didn't think that she was as young as 18. So,
Yeah,
wow.
buddy.
I mean, yeah, God, it's just the fact that she was, you know, wrestling Io Shirai and you know the grand stage of Stardom and the match that they pulled off, amazing match. I was definitely invested from beginning to end, and I'm glad that I really caught up on that. And now I'm interested to see with what actually went down last night in Io's match. But either way, awesome match.
Oh yeah.
Great recommendation.
Oh yeah, it was it blew me away. It was it's this is definitely the best women's match of 2018 so far. And yes, it does beat Charlotte Asuka at WrestleMania in my opinion.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And
not to take away from Charlotte and Asuka, but this match was just that good.
Yeah, so if you do find yourself wondering, I want to watch a women's match, this is definitely one to look out for. And then I also watched day 2, and it was right after Io had lost her belt, and she faced a little spunky character by the name of Starlight Kid. I love the name, by the way. And thinking about it,
That's
you know, when I was watching this, I'm like, yeah, the early matches on the card are super cringy and they're rough to get going. The women in that are really young. They're clearly learning the business. I'm like, okay, maybe I'll watch them in a year or two when they've got more in there. Even some of the UK women within Stardom right now. There's a girl named Candy Floss who's got this like huggable kind of candy person. She's like a walking advertisement for Japanese candy, but it's, you know, it's fine.
Product placements in the ring.
Oh yeah, like she cut an interview where she's like, yeah, okay, I was in the car for 7 hours from Tokyo to Osaka, but it's okay, I ate a bunch of Pocky before the match. I'm like, oh my god.
That's hilarious, man. Hey, it's better than Surge in WCW.
Oh, I don't know if it's that good. So, but Starlight Kid, she's the junior champ. I think there's a different name for it. I just can't remember. I wrote down junior champ as in, this is a title specifically for the young up-and-comers. I believe it's 22 and under. You hold this title, if I'm not mistaken. It might be 20 years old and under. So Starlight Kid is very young. She's got a blue and white attire with a tiger mask on as well. And she's really smooth in the ring. She put on a great showing versus Io Shirai. It wasn't as intense and had the storyline behind it as the match we just spoke about. But it just proved to me that Starlight Kid with people, you know, they just lost Asuka. They lost Kairi Hojo. You'll know her as Sane, and now they're losing Io Shirai. You know, with people like Momo Watanabe and Starlight Kid and a couple other people like Azm, and Konami within the promotion, it's gonna be fine. They all have bright futures ahead, big time.
Yeah.
Just some other notable standouts from what I saw in this era of Stardom that we're entering is Mayu Iwatani looks fantastic. Mentioned Starlight Kid, and then Kagetsu is still like the front runner of the promotion. If I show you a picture, Rad, you'd probably recognize her. She's the one with the she wears like a boxing gear attire, and she has a black kind of Legion of Doom thing on over her her face. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen her before.
Yeah, she's pretty well known for her character work and one of the more standouts in Stardom. So she continues to be a definite presence there within the promotion. So my question is, Rad, and I did remember.
There we go. Okay.
And this has been coming up. Why New Japan puts on, you know, pay-per-view after pay-per-view, great stuff. Should New Japan then have women in their promotion?
Okay, that's a good question. You know, now that we're just talking about Stardom and Stardom being like the, I guess, top all women's Japanese promotion, based in Japan. I'm not sure if we really need that division in New Japan. I mean, I'd be all for it, but right now with the product and what New Japan, I guess, puts out, you're talking about, mostly the 3-on-3, the junior tournaments, one-on-one main events with both the Intercontinental and their world title. I'm not sure if there's room for a women's division there. Not to say it won't work. I think that would be great to see down the road, but if you really want to see Japanese women's wrestling, it's like that's something that you can already get in Stardom. I think what it would turn into is either maybe some sort of agreement maybe, and they let Stardom performers perform on New Japan Pro Wrestling TV. But as far as making their own division, it's just going to get to the point where they might just be plucking, the talent from there.
Right.
And what will Stardom, have? Funny I mentioned that because it seems to me that now WWE with their NXT brand is doing the same thing. But I mean, so far we've only gotten, at least up to 2 or 3 now. I know there's rumors with Io Shirai ending up in WWE in the near future. So I guess we'll see.
I think that's a done deal for sure.
Yeah, I think
Io
that's
Shirai is
already
clearly on her farewell
going
tour
to WWE.
here.
Yeah.
So here's my idea. New Japan gets a kind of a cross promotion with Stardom. Kind of like what All Japan and Noah seem to have. Where and what I mean by this is you could have Stardom join New Japan's network, so it would get more exposure. You join the New Japan network, you also get Stardom. You know what I mean?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
And then,
very marketable.
To further it, you would have, say, at Wrestle Kingdom or Dominion or something, and you have the main Stardom title defended, just the one match, at those major events. What do you think?
I think that can work. I mean, that would definitely be an event in itself. Like, everybody would like to tune in just to see, I guess, what's going to happen. Or they might even bring in fans that just watch Stardom, I guess, to begin with. I'm not sure if that actually exists, but you never know. I'm pretty sure there's somebody out there that really does just watch women's wrestling. And
sure.
Yeah, it might introduce them to the product over at New Japan. So it could definitely work. I like it. And it's marketable. I mean, hell, I'll probably end up subscribing, on a full-time basis if that were to happen. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be New Japan. It could be All Japan or Noah. For a major event, you just have one of the top singles matches of Stardom built up. Stardom can still have their own big pay-per-views and events, just like Gold Star, which we just saw. But they have one event. Think of like an Io Shirai Kairi Hojo match. Potential it could have had if that was showcased at Wrestle Kingdom. What was that? What would they be? That 10? I guess that's what it would have been. Crazy. Or Tony Storm, Io Shirai at Wrestle Kingdom 11. Like, the potential's there on both sides. But anyways, I digress. Some people are upset about that, but I think you got to look at it from definitely the two perspectives. Like you said, Rad, it would definitely be like cherry picking then the talent, and that would ruin a promotion, or it would just be like just trying to have something for the sake of having it, into appeasing kind of a PC base, when it's not going to necessarily improve your product, improve what your entertainment promotion. Yeah, I mean. But anyways, moving on. May 31st was Impact Wrestling's Under Pressure. It was okay. Decent enough rivalry builds for each match. They kept each one simple enough. The most interesting one, storyline-wise, was definitely the Su Yung burning the coffin. She put Rosemary in, and then Allie got possessed by an evil spirit, becoming Evil Bunny or whatever the fuck it was. Yeah. I really liked the whole setup. All set for the coffin match. The gimmick was there. The gimmick match was there. Title on the line. The match was a total piece of shit dud, unfortunately. I
didn't see the match.
Oh my god, it was just stumbling around. Allie came out to her own music, but then it cut into Rosemary's music. She was there was good character work in the ring, but there was no wrestling. It was just kind of all fumbling around, and then eventually Su Yung she puts a mandible claw on and throws Allie in the coffin, and that was it. So, real shame. I was definitely invested in the storyline, and going forward, the match just turned out to be a dud. Shit happens. It's okay.
Oh, yeah.
I won't be too upset about it. Just move on to the next thing. They tried. That's more than we can say over a lot of things we get from another product. But anyways, I keep saying that tonight. I'm just in one of those moods, Rad.
It's all right.
Yep. The big thing here was title match: Austin Aries versus Pentagon. Pentagon's the champion. He took it at whatever the F that pay-per-view was a couple months ago. Impact's best pay-per-view in years, arguably. Decent amount.
Yeah. I remember that was it Redemption?
Redemption.
Like
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. This match was decent enough. Little low ball, really. Not much really happening, but there was definitely good storytelling involved. There was a double count out the first time with Aries putting Pentagon in a last chancery submission on the outside, but the submission made him unable to pull him into the ring. So Austin Aries got all mad. He's like, no, you're cero mero, no fear. You're going to come back in here and restart. And Pentagon agrees. So the match is restarted. The fight goes to the outside on the apron. Pentagon hits a package pile driver on Aries on the apron. Rad, these apron spots scare me more and more each day.
Yeah,
I'm just waiting for someone's neck to be broken.
One day it probably will happen, JD. It's a very dangerous spot.
I'm not about that. But anyways, at least they kayfabed it, because now Pentagon couldn't get Aries back in the ring, and so now he's upset. He's like, no, I want a real win. So he puts Zero Miedo right in Aries' face, right there. The ref turns to ring the bell, and Aries punts him in the nuts.
Oh man,
because he's the heel, and goes right into the brainbuster stolen heel win. So we kind of knew this was coming. This was spoiled on Twitter and social media 2 days after the Redemption win. We kind of felt it happening. I said it was probably going to happen on the cuff of Lucha Underground about to come out, and sure as shit it did. But it did lead to a decent enough storyline. Pentagon was the champion for a while. It was really cool. It made Impact weekly television, worth watching, with Pentagon coming out and talking some shit in Spanish, I assume.
Yeah.
So the kick in the nuts was, I'm like, what is with wrestling, American wrestling in particular, right now with the nut shots? I don't get it.
Yeah, it's like American wrestling equals low blows.
I mean, this. I mean, I'm okay with the occasional low blow, and it's typical heel tactics, but it was just a straight punt. It was funny.
So literally just a punch.
No, he just kicked him like an NFL football.
Ouch.
Yeah, and then he did the brain buster instead of just rolling him up. So, God. All right, so moving on. OTT had a couple events similar to Progress's chapters. One was Haven for Monsters, and the other was Live in Belfast. So one funny name, the other was not. So Jordan Devlin and David Starr take on the tag team of Low Key. Remember that guy?
Yeah.
And Walter's debut OTT match. And for those that aren't familiar with OTT, it's the Ireland promotion, which Jordan Devlin is champion.
And
so
yet another promotion Walter's appearing in.
So Walter's appearing here now, and extremely powerful showing by Walter gets Devlin to tap out.
Wow.
Yeah, there was a nice little build where David Starr and Low Key were going at it. Walter and Low Key were tagging out. David Starr wanted Walter in particular because, of course, cross promotion. I need to beat Walter thing. There was even Jordan Devlin kind of going, "You gonna hold me down from this?" Because Walter's here, and David Starr's like, "No, I got this." And he goes, "You sure? You seem to lose to him every time." So there was some continuity there. I quite liked the little banter. And as soon as Devlin hit the ring and Walter hit him with that first slap, that first chop, he just goes and you just great expression on Devlin's face. It just looked like everything was taken out of him. You're like, yes, oh, a good opponent for Jordan Devlin, the import killer. The next night was live in Belfast. Very good, solid match between Devlin and Tyler Bate. This is clearly waiting for the day Devlin faces Walter for the title, though. I did have an issue, though, with the two shows. Goofy overall, for sure. Lots of comedy. Zach Gibson, Jordan Devlin, Mark Haskins, the briefcase holder. Mark Haskins is like the Money in the Bank winner of OTT right now. We'll call that. He's kind of trolling on Twitter of Devlin getting beat by Walter, and he's like, maybe I'll just cash this in for a champion who's actually capable of winning, kind of thing. They're holding the show together, but most of these two shows seem to be eclipsed by the comedy. You know, I spoke highly of Scrappermania, you know, with their one comedy match, and it was absolutely great. You know, I loved it. This one just seemed to be the majority of the two shows. It was funny, but I'm here to watch wrestling, not, you know, bra and panties matches. That's kind of what I was comparing it to.
Yeah.
It wore on me very quick with two straight showings where it seemed most of this. So unfortunately, but the main card storyline is definitely there. And then Rad, just to note, I've been trying to catch more CMLL. Some more.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, their shows are free on YouTube, on their YouTube channel, so you can catch them out anytime. The whole shows, too. It's a very old school promotion. I think it's the oldest wrestling promotion in the world, if I'm not mistaken. They have a very by-the-book kind of formula where you wrestle, you have a minimal storyline. We're here to show you what we're capable of athletically. So I definitely feel the culture and language barrier there, kind of preventing me from liking it more than I should. Mm-hmm. But thanks to a guy named Lucha Blog, you can find him on Twitter, and he's got his own blog over all things Lucha Wrestling. So it's CMLL, AAA Libre, and Underground. He puts together good articles of what to definitely watch out for. So he wrote a good article over an event from a couple weeks ago on YouTube that you can check out to at least see a couple good matches. And of course, our boy Dragon Lee from the Best of the Super Juniors tournaments back in CMLL, and he's apparently knocking it out of the park in all of his matches. So definitely shout out to Lucha Blog for sure. Oh, okay. Excellent. Noah, I got to watch a Noah pay-per-view, Rad. You know, I've been meaning to do this.
Yeah.
Navigation with Breeze. Mostly a dud show, unfortunately. The departure of Ishimori and possibly Keno leaving really hurts, but I think Keno signed a new contract. That's why he's heading up to the top of the card.
Oh, okay. So he has pretty much a guaranteed push, I guess.
I think so. That's what I'm gathering from how this pay-per-view went down. So Ishimori leaving it's definitely put a hole in an entire division in Noah, and it's very noticeable. The tag team division is still absolute shit. It's basically non-existent. Don't hold the whole promotion. I don't hold the whole promotion up against it though. But with Rising Talent, I immediately thought of Kaito Kiyomiya and Katsuhiko Nakajima as like the two guys that would need to rise the occasion. Those are the two names that like popped into my head first throughout this entire promotion, and came true. There was a tag match, and those two guys were against each other, and they definitely stood out. And they played the heel face roles quite well. I quite enjoy it. The match was definitely better than I thought it was going to be. But the two matches that I did care about was Keno versus Atsushi Kotoge. Solid match, decent pace. Kotoge has this goofy like cape gimmick where he goes to the top rope and he has to put the cape on and leap like Hurricane Helm style.
Oh, okay.
The problem with Kotoge, he likes to shoot headbutts. You know, via what's his face from New Japan who retired, Shibata, just like that, just crack. And there was one point where he cracked a headbutt against Keno and busted Keno open real hard. So Keno's bleached blonde hair was going Ric Flair style at one point with the blood giving him like a crimson head.
Oh man, so there's blood everywhere then.
Yeah, well, at least on his head. It wasn't like going over the match. It was definitely like Ric Flair style.
Yeah.
So even though Kotoge is a bit of a goof, it is entertaining, and Keno is just still hard-hitting good. All the different angles of his knee strikes, leg strikes, a devastating kind of coup de grace from the top rope ended the match. Very cool. It definitely cemented Keno as kind of like the next main eventer to challenge for the title match, and this was the one I tried to get you to watch because it finally... there was finally a video available on YouTube for you, man, and unfortunately, you weren't able to watch this sucker.
Yeah, it's probably going to be, deleted soon?
I don't know. I hope not, because I want more people to check it out. It's Takashi Sigura, champion of Noah, 48 years old, beast of a man. He's like the chairman as well of Noah. He kind of helps run it, against Naomichi Marufuji for the GCH belt. Or GHC belt. And I spoke last podcast over Marufuji's amazing match with Kento Miyahara in All Japan, which basically got me the All Japan subscription immediately. And,
oh, cool.
Yeah. So this had a simple grudge match type setting. I want the Marufuji keeps losing the big one. He won Champion Carnival in All Japan. He lost against Kento Miyahara for the All Japan belt. Now he's going for the Noah belt in the promotion he pretty much helped start. And so it was good story there. Great pace, nice bumps with a build for once. No like I'm superplexing you to the outside. 2 minutes in the match, and then we'll start like rest holds via WWE style. No, this was Takashi Segura being the vet that he is, just being very, very, very specific with his move sets and what body parts he's working. Like every single move Segura did to Marufuji targeted the midsection all the way to like midway through the match, and this was kind of the turning point where Marufuji started getting a little he started overselling moves. He started. And I use that in a good way. He started selling the midsection. Every hit like seemed to hit him harder, and he was resulting to his kicks, his kicks and martial arts more and more instead of wrestling moves. Because Segura did a gut wrench off the apron to the outside, and that was the turning point. Really cool spot. It wasn't on the apron for once. Yeah. Although there was a freaking pile driver Marufuji did to Segura on the apron.
Oh, man, okay.
In which Segura's legs kind of hit the ropes as he went down. It looked like he hit, the neck a little bit too much. It looked gross, honestly. But this match was definitely top-notch, at least 4 stars in my book. It's one of the best indie matches of the year. Mm-hmm. The selling by Marufuji was some of the best I've seen all year. Via Walter at Superstars of Wrestling against Dragunov. Like, Marufuji's like in a world of his own right now. He is at the top of his game, and he's 40-something years old, or however old he is. He's not a young spring chicken. And then, but Segura, because of the working the midsection the whole time, Marufuji made one mistake, too many in the end, and Segura made him tap out to like a butterfly gut submission hold. Mm-hmm. So so much continuity, so much in-ring storytelling. Great pace. Definitely one of the best indie matches of the year. I really liked it. And then even the post-match, Keno comes out, starts saying, "I want the title match." But then who comes out? My boy Kiyomiya and Nakajima all want a shot as well. So they all right. Noah, even though they're scrapped for talent right now, they do know who they want to push and who they want to put their hopes in for the future of the promotion. Really cool.
Okay. So
Yeah.
they're already building on the future then.
Yeah, it was immediately after the
good
match,
thing.
and they got like a triple. It looks like I don't speak Japanese, but it looks like they're gonna build a like a three-way kind of singles tournament. It looks like Keno's gonna face Kiyomiya first, and the winner faces Nakajima because he won that tag match against Kiyomiya. So it looks like the winner will face Nakajima, and the winner of that will be the next opponent for Siguro. And all this time, while they're like talking shit to each other, Sigura's in the corner with the title on his shoulder. You know, he's just hanging out. He's just like, I don't fucking care. I'll take on anyone. Just you guys work it out amongst yourselves. You know, the champion doesn't call out the opponent. You know, very good old school type mentality. You know.
Yeah.
So, and I would also like to thank Rear View Reviews for a lot of articles covering various indie wrestling, because I was about to watch that whole pay-per-view, but thanks to his articles, I got to skip the first half of that show because they were all regarded as just terrible matches that first half. So, whew, got close. I dodged the bullet there.
You were saved.
I was saved. So thank you, Rear View Reviews. He covers a lot of All Japan, New Japan, Noah. He even has WXW articles, so he's probably an indie fanboy just like myself.
Yeah, you can tell.
Whew, okay. Lucha Underground Season 1, or Season 4, my god. June 13th, Lucha Underground Season 4, Episode 1 came out, Rad. Please tell me you watched this.
Right. No, I haven't.
No!
I have not seen it, but I'm okay with the spoilers here because I want to hear what went down.
Oh my god, okay, for people that aren't familiar with Lucha Underground, it is Mexican wrestling with the most ridiculous plot line you can imagine.
Oh, they come out with some of the most outrageous stuff, but it's really good.
Oh my god, the recap started this. It's like Wrestling Godfather with supernatural stuff. This is how I.
It was like the gods and the Aztecs and
Oh
whatnot.
my god. The recap going into Season 4 was super entertaining. The grit and the grind, the crazy has returned. So the recap was Dario Cueto, like the owner of Lucha Underground, was shot and killed at the end of Season 3, and his mystery father's now the new owner. And he's moved Lucha Underground to a new house to kind of kayfabe / they lost a lot of budget going into Season 4, so they have to move to a cheaper location.
Yeah, this is how they explain it.
This is how they explain it. He takes a key from around Dario's dead body, which will come into play later, Red. So Lucha Underground, and they mention Lucha Underground is just a cover for the true objective, as I do the evil quotes for the camera on the live stream here. So Antonio Cueto, the father, he announces, he's like, oh, my son Dario was like a piece of shit or whatever. He's got a brooding, like, villainous voice to him. And he goes, we're gonna start this season with Aztec Warfare, which is a 20-man elimination for the Lucha Underground title, because you can't have Pentagon Dark. This he's a babyface in Lucha Underground now. That's the same Pentagon we just talked about from Impact, where he just lost the title to Austin Aries by getting punted in the dick. So 20-man elimination, and this started off as a comedy show. It didn't really get going until about I want to say competitor 11, which was halfway. So what happened was, Son of Havoc joins Mac and Killshot as the new trio champ, because I guess Prince Puma, if I remember correctly, was part of the trio. So he needs a new one. He just goes, Son of Havoc, you're the you're the new teammate of them, and then he goes to bring you guys together. You're gonna beat the hell out of each other to start Aztec Warfare. So they do that. Pentagon enters number 6 to a massive pop and immediately clears the ring. Like, he's like the only one left. Crowd goes crazy. He pins everybody, pretty much. Tommy Dreamer enters 7, another crazy pop. Things just got hardcore. No kidding. Pentagon easily deposits Killshot. Mr. Pectacular, great name by the way, via package pile drivers and his Pentagon like underhook fisherman suplex that he does. Clearly strong booking here for Pentagon. After Pentagon Dark has cleared the ring of all competitors, Johnny Mundo enters at number 11.
Cool. Okay, I thought he was just gonna be exclusive to Impact. I guess
No,
he's still doing.
He's still in Lucha.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Then Phoenix enters at number 13. The trio of crazies in the ring together. A lot of good spots there. Jeremiah Crane / Sammy Callahan enters, and Mil Muertes at one point entered the ring. Ring is piling up with heavy hitters. And this is where it starts to get a little weird. No one was really given any real time in the ring besides Johnny Mundo and Pentagon. Phoenix got a few good moves in. He looked really strong. But everyone got like a couple moves in, and then they would be eliminated via Pentagon or some nefarious means by another guy in the ring. Chavo eliminated Phoenix. Didn't see that coming, and it was really fast. Then Hunter King Cuerno enters, and that, like, he seems to be a guy that's getting a big push in Lucha Underground. I believe he's also getting a push in CMLL. I could be mistaken on that. There was interference by Vibera doing the bidding of taking out Johnny Mundo with some crazy chaos. Girls. I don't know. It's like some big henchman villainous plot against Johnny Mundo, apparently. Marty the Moth Martinez enters last at number 20. The Pentagon and Marty the Moth Martinez had a good, like, last standing between the two. Chavo still can move, and he looked a bit stronger than a lot of other people in the match for sure. There was a lot of storylines trying to be told during the match, and it was hard to keep up with them all. I do see where they're going with it all, but it was just too much at once. It felt like, even though it was highly entertaining, it was kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Pentagon Dark retains. Lots of in-ring subplots, as I said. Decent spots. Antonio Cueto comes out again, and he comes out to address Pentagon and says, "Next week you will face Montaza. Next week," and he pulls the key off his neck, symbolizing it's like his long lost son, and he's been locked up like a goonie or something. So
yeah,
really fucking
awesome,
funny
man.
stuff.
Yeah.
I can't wait for Lucha Underground. Wednesdays are great, Rad. I got NXT, Lucha Underground, and WXW every Wednesday night for the rest of the summer. This is fantastic.
That is, man. It's a awesome wrestling day.
Yeah. But yeah, it was. I thought with the ending of last episode that there wasn't going to be as much indie wrestling going forward. Try to calm down, but there turned out to be a lot more going on than I gave it credit for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we shall move on to bigger and better things into our tier 2, which is the big heavy hitter. As I play this drop for you. There it is.
Pleasure, bro.
Alrighty. Rad, there's a big New Japan pay-per-view. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Dominion.
No, which one is that?
Yeah, maybe there was like there was just shitty matches on the card. We don't need to talk about it probably. But, I'm sure the audience wants to hear our opinion on it anyways, so why don't we just do that?
Sure. And here's where I'm going to ask you to take it away, because I actually didn't see it, JD. Another one that I missed. It's just too much wrestling going on at once.
Oh, well, I'm here to make you not sift through the shit and just watch the best ones.
Sounds good, man.
So not much to say really until 3 matches in particular. Even though the whole card was great. I didn't not like a single match. I thought they were all great. Everything was setting up a future storyline. Everything had a purpose. It was definitely, Dominion was the rise of the Gaijins. Rise of the foreigners in New Japan. A new era has definitely begun.
I like that.
Without a doubt. Before the pay-per-view, I made a joke prediction on Twitter, because I had a few people asking me. I had Jay from Smack It Down, like, what's your prediction? I had Logan wondering what it was from Future Wrestling, etc. There's a bunch of people on Twitter DMing me like, "What's your predictions? You're always so right." And I was
Nice.
like, but I'm not always right. I'm wrong most of the time. It just so happens recently I've been on a roll because I'm not using my heart with anything. But my last couple predictions have been stupid fun. Like I'm having like with my UK bracketology. I'm only doing this with how Europe would book it, you know? Well, with this one, I went, I looked at it and I go, there's a white person every match. Gaijin power! Every match that there was a white person, I had a white person winning. Every single one. Except the junior tag title match didn't have white people winning. Or in the match. It was Roppongi 3K against Desperado and Suzuki Gun, basically. So I went, it's going to be no DQ. The match is thrown out. There's no white guy. And then from then on, I went only the Gaijins win. So there was a tag match where Juice Robinson and what's his face Finley were against White, and I forget his tag team. Juice pins White to go for the US. That's clearly going to be the next contender for the US title. That continued at Kizuna Road, which is going on right now. There was a match between Minoru Suzuki. There was a tag match with Minoru Suzuki and Ishii on the other side with Yano. But the what I took out of this match was Minoru Suzuki and Ishii are beating the shit out of each other. Minoru's saying things like Ishii's his next plaything, and this is, I mean, the post match of taking out the Young Lions. They were throwing water bottles at each other. They it feels like a rivalry. It feels like they truly hate each other. Good kayfabe. It's even bleeding over into Revolution Pro in the UK, where Ishii's the champion, and Minoru Suzuki is now the next contender for the Rev Pro title. And Brad, you remember how I was like, I'm not the highest. I don't feel Rev Pro's on the highest remarks with me. Well, now I want to see this match, so Rev Pro just pulls me back in.
Oh, wow, okay, so they changed their mind on that then, huh?
Well, I need to see the next one because I want to see Minoru Suzuki versus Ishii. Because in Dominion, they beat the hell out of each other. Minoru saying things like plaything. He wants to beat the crap out of him. Ishii's the Stone Pitbull. I mean, come on, Rad. How would you not want to see that? The next match was New Japan's first triple threat match in like 5 years. And it was Michael Elgin and Taichi challenge Hiroki Goto, one of my favorite guys in the world. The Bret Hart of Japan, that's what I call him. For the never openweight title. Not the greatest match in the world, I'll admit, because they're clearly not used to triple threat matches. Because what would happen is, what happened was Taichi was more or less taken out, right? And the match was more or less up to Goto and Elgin kind of carrying it. And every once in a while, Taichi would come in with a heel move, like for example, near the end. He brings in his signature microphone, which he can sing, and he hits both of them, and he has this like crazy villainous laugh that was absolutely hilarious. He's like standing in the middle, he just hits them both the mic. He's standing in the middle of the ring, he looks up at the rafters, he's got both arms out, one arm with the mic, and he just goes, ah!
That's freaking awesome. I gotta take a look at that.
It was so good. What ended up happening at the end was Elgin went powerbomb crazy. He powerbombed Taichi, then he powerbombed Taichi again into Goto, powerbomb Goto, and he gets the belt. Not something I truly believed would happen, but the Gaijin prediction was the Gaijin predictions were coming true.
So you were right.
Well, I mean, I was right, but I was joking. The next one was the Young Bucks challenging for the heavyweight tag belts of New Japan against Evil and Sonata. Great match. The Young Bucks looked fantastic. Evil and Sonata are fantastic workers. Very smooth in the ring. They're very good at what they do. I'm very surprised the Young Bucks won these tag belts their first attempt. Young Bucks looked fantastic. They definitely held with bigger guys. Great to see. I loved it. Definitely one of the the more exciting matches on the night because it's the Young Bucks. It's just what they do. Then there was a cool Legends match versus Bullet Club. Mysterio had a sweet New Japan Lion mask as Mysterio teamed up with Tanahashi and Jushin Thunder Liger. Like, what a star power team that is. Just them in the ring was enough for me to go, oh my god. And Bullet Club won because they're the white guys.
Yeah. Gaijin.
Yeah, but you know, they're the big heel faction. I think it was the right decision in the end. I mean, Jushin Thunder Liger and Mysterio have nothing to prove. Tanahashi has nothing to prove.
Yeah, no, they're longtime veterans. Obviously, Bullet Club is still building on something.
Yeah, I did think it was weird Mysterio lost in his debut match in New Japan, though. I found that a bit odd, but nevertheless.
Unless they have something else, you know, planned for him down the road or something.
Oh, absolutely, they do.
Yeah.
Then it was the big junior heavyweight title match. The cocky Ospreay going by his kind of shoot interviews he was doing. He's like, oh, I've beaten Hiromu twice. I was worried it was going to be Ishimori, but now I don't have to worry anything. I've beaten Hiromu, like, no problem. So I was in the back of my mind, I was thinking they're going to put the belt on Hiromu because you got a cocky champion going into it. It's very old school type booking. But at the same time, I go, Ospreay's hot as hell right now. He's the future of the division. I thought it'd be too soon for him to lose the belt. And sure shit, Ospreay lost to Hiromu. The crowd went absolutely insane. The only white guy to lose on the night was Ospreay. Didn't see that coming. The match was good. I think if you love it's a New Japan junior heavyweight match. For sure. I still think the Ishimori Hiromu match was much better by a long shot. This wasn't Ospreay's best match of the year by any means either. There was a lot of no selling. There was momentum switches every 2 seconds. Multiple dangerous falls on the necks on both Hiromu and Ospreay. You know, I wasn't a fan of the match because of these things, even though it was high energy and entertaining. There was still a lot of negative to it, so it's definitely not the best match they could have put on, despite it still being pretty good. Obviously, that's just one man's opinion. You know what I mean, Red?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So probably everyone's probably here to listen to what we have to say about the last two matches of Dominion, the big heavy hitters, the money makers, the ticket sellers. Yeah. Insane clown emo Jericho creates a wrestling spectacle in defeating Naito for the Intercontinental Belt in New Japan. Holy hell, Rad. Holy hell. The reinvention of Jericho is just incredible. Incredible. He comes out dressed differently, comes out to music. He essentially is creating new personas for whoever his opponent is in New Japan. He had one for Omega with the Alpha. Now he's Los Ingobernables de Lista Jericho or whatever it is, against Naito, the cocky IC champion. Kind of the same sort of story here, except now it's against Naito. Even though this match, Rad, wasn't a wrestling showcase, it was littered with story elements, littered with rivalry. Like, every move felt like it mattered. Jericho beat down Naito pre-match to get immediate heat on him. Naito wasn't even able to take off his signature, like, white Tranquilo suit. Jericho throws Naito through a table. There was a couple table spots where it didn't break. I'm really wondering if that was on purpose, just so they wouldn't, like, bust their neck in half. But what a showing. Yet another New Japan Jericho match where I marked out hard as a wrestling fan.
Oh, nice.
Like, good God.
You stayed up for that one? Watched it live, or you just...
I watched Dominion live.
Oh, hell yeah, that's awesome.
The way I did this was I went to sleep at 4 p.m. I made myself fall asleep. Then I woke up at 10.
You were good to go.
So I was good to. I mean, I was dead tired still the next day, despite doing that. But I was definitely up for Dominion Live. There was no way I was missing this pay-per-view, and it did not disappoint. I was not expecting, like, when I did my predictions, my real one, just with Jay from SmackDown, for example, asking, like, who do I want to win? I go, well, I want Jericho to win. And he goes, why? And I go, because it'd be fun.
Yeah.
It would get my attention. Like, it would create buzz. And
yeah,
that's exactly what happened.
That's exactly what happened. It's funny you mentioned that, because that's exactly what I guess a lot of people wanted, but we just didn't really think that they would actually pull it off. But we seem to forget that New Japan isn't WWE, and they really give the fans what they want. And I didn't tune in live, but the very next morning, as I found out the result, I was just mind blown that Chris Jericho is the new, Intercontinental champion in New Japan. It was just wow. Definitely a match that I need to definitely check out. I've heard real good things about it, but yeah, I mean you're right. That's I think this is a really a good thing moving forward, and they really have a lot of faith in Chris Jericho, and he is a big name, internationally known worldwide. So this is real good. It's freaking awesome, and not to mention the next match that you're gonna touch base on next as well. It's a great time to be a New Japan fan.
Yeah, and it's this is clearly building to New Japan as the contender to the mega power, you might say.
Yeah.
And doing a move like, I mean, this just, Jericho's on another level. He's still under contract with WWE, and he's still doing this with New Japan. He can do what he wants. It's amazing. Yeah. He is his own enigma. No one can touch him. Jericho can do no wrong. I even went as far as liking his post-match interview, as New Japan does, and he goes, he's got blood on the he's got his fingernails like all cut up. He's bleeding, and there's blood on the belt prior from Naito's blood, and he's referencing the blood on the belt, saying, we kicked the shit out of each other. There's blood on this title. Naito didn't care about this belt. I care about this belt. I'm a 10-time Intercontinental Champion now. I'm the IWGP Intercontinental Champion in 2018. I am still the best. You better pray that you're not the next opponent, because it's going to take, borderline killing me to get this belt off me. And he goes, now I don't know when I'm going to be able to wrestle again, because Naito kicked the shit out of me. He emphasized that, so it kind of goes into kayfabe that he's going to go away for a little bit, which is fair. He's Chris fucking Jericho. He can do what he wants at this point.
Hell yeah, rightfully deserved too.
Man, just fantastic. It's yeah, like I said, Jericho can do no wrong. The fact they put the belt on him just means New Japan has balls, and they want to do something more. They want to be more than just Japan.
Yeah, this is definitely a step forward, and you can tell that they want to. I think that they see it, they know it. Both of us mentioned before. I know wrestling fans throughout social media. The next wrestling boom is at the beginning right now, and it's happening with indie wrestling. And I think New Japan knows that, and they're just trying to reach that global audience. I mean, it's already happening, and they know that. And in order for them to be accepted, I guess, as an actual competition to WWE, why not give the titles to Gaijin, as you mentioned before? So it's just awesome. This is really good stuff, and like you said, New Japan has balls, and they're definitely rolling with it. So
yeah, and they're not just Americans. They're Europeans of various countries from there.
Yeah, that's the thing I like, is that it's wrestlers from around the world, different countries, different continents. And I love that in wrestling. It kind of gives you that global, competition type of thing. And New Japan is really killing it with that aspect.
Absolutely. And speaking of killing it, the main event.
Yes.
Whew. Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada have another classic. Arguably the best wrestling match of all time. Dave Meltzer gave this match 7 stars. And the match was about 64 minutes long, and Omega finally wins. This is the match of the year easily right now. And there's been some damn good matches, but never in my life have I seen a match like this with the long-term storytelling, the rivalry built, the almost 2-year reign of Okada, with his own sort of I want the real defense record, but the only person I seemingly haven't beaten is Kenny Omega, because we drew that one time at Dominion a year ago. Like there was so much to it. Incredible. Even, it was 2 out of 3 falls, no time limit. Everything in this match was, I don't know if there was anything I would have changed. And that's a mark for a perfect showcase of wrestling. The first one was a roll up. Kenny Omega devastated. We're like, oh my god! So you got a baby face kind of coming back. The slow. You stay a lot. You're the hero, and if you live long enough, you become the villain. That's kind of what Okada's been. Roles were reversed. Omega working the arms, so his clothesline finisher wasn't as effective. Guys getting exhausted to the point where they're falling over, repeating what happened a year ago, where they take each other to the limit. My God, Rad. You gotta go and watch this match.
Yeah, I definitely followed up with highlights, and aside from the actual match itself, the result was the surprising part, and the storyline and the closure that elite fans finally got.
Mm-hmm.
We finally saw the Young Bucks show their true colors and their loyalty to Kenny Omega, with Kota Ibushi
right
on their side as well. What are they known as, the Golden Elite now?
Yeah, I quite like that.
It's it's awesome, and not to mention that they also continued the rivalry between Kenny Omega and Cody Rhodes, where Cody Rhodes was, I think, the only guy that just walked off to the back. He didn't even bother to acknowledge Kenny Omega's win or congratulate him or anything like that.
Yeah, he walked halfway down the ramp and then turned around, changed his mind, didn't acknowledge it. So even the post match had storytelling. Just crazy. The balls on New Japan to do it twice in the same night, including the Young Bucks winning the tag belts.
Yeah, not to mention that as well.
Oh man, I really just can't believe what I saw in that match. Words escape me to describe it. I almost don't want to discuss, because what I like doing, Rad, as you know, is I like discussing spots in matches. I like discussing turnarounds and momentum switches. This had everything it needed to be. There wasn't a momentum switch every 2 seconds. Every move Okada and Omega did to each other seemed to have impact and meaning behind it. There was selling for everything, from their legs going to pure exhaustion, and their endurance is up the wall. They could probably go 2 hours if they needed to.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And the fact they were able to kayfabe exhaustion the way they are, and pull off the moves that they are able to do, just incredible. Definitely, it's pretty funny that Meltzer keeps breaking his own scale. But I really like what he said, where 5 stars was made for wrestling 20, 30 years ago. It's a different entity now. You almost need to break the scale to match what we're seeing now.
Yeah.
And I really like that comment too.
Yeah, I think I like that as well, because it just kind of shows you of what wrestling has evolved into, and it's not the same wrestling that we grew up with, which is still great. I love the nostalgia and retro wrestling and whatnot, but now what it's become, especially with guys like Kenny Omega and Okada, they're just on another level, man, and it's just good stuff. And this is definitely going to solidify New Japan as the likely competition that we really need for WWE in the very near future, because it's happening. And this wrestling boom isn't in WWE, but it's in indie wrestling. So this is where it's all at, man.
Yeah, and all WWE seems to be doing is they're trying to put down the UK indie promotions by starting NXT UK. I mean, I think it's a smart move, but in the end, they're probably just going to treat it like NXT, and it's just developmental for the main roster to go into obscurity and being just another wrestler. But sure. I digress. They're having another like Greatest Royal Rumble type event in Australia. That's not going to solve anything. New Japan is trying to get out of Japan, and having all the gaijin, all the worldwide wrestlers like take the belts off of Japanese wrestlers says something about what they want to turn New Japan Pro Wrestling into, and I love it. As a foreigner, I am 100% down with the plan for sure. And I also just get a kick out of their two main belts in New Japan are now owned and held by two dudes from Winnipeg, Canada, of all places.
Yeah, that's crazy. And that actually, there was a picture of both Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega together holding two titles, so that was just awesome to see.
Oh, all we need is Lance Storm. I think he's from Winnipeg to come back and get like the Never title.
Yeah, that'd be cool, or at least referee some match or something.
Yeah, I did watch a bit of Kizuno Road, and it's Goto actually beat Elgin in a hard-fought singles match to gain back the Never title. And that was yesterday. So storylines are continuing at Kizuno Road in New Japan. Definitely worth checking out. But the key match there was Elgin and Goto like beat the shit out of each other. Two heavy bulls going at it. Very hard fought match. And in the end, there was good storytelling with Elgin. This new like leaner cut Elgin is bigger, badder than ever. I really like the story they've built here with Hiroki Goto, where now he's the only non-gaijin with a belt, with the singles belt, and he made this like babyface type comeback. The fans were totally behind him. He squeaked out a victory by hitting his GTR against Elgin, and his post-match interview, he goes, he'll take on anybody. Jeff Cobb came out, big heavy Jeff Cobb, Matt Riddle's like big buddy and Elgin's buddy. Goto's like, I'll take on anybody, any challengers. You know, I have the fighting spirit of Japan behind me. I'm gonna make this belt relevant and the top belt in the company, and bring back the fighting spirit of Japan. So he's really emphasizing that. I like the whole hometown, the home country feeling. That's and Goto, I think, is the perfect guy to get behind in that sense. Mm-hmm. I don't mind Elgin losing the belt a week after winning it, since he wasn't the one pinned in the match. Or Goto wasn't the one pinned in the match, it was Taichi. So the singles match the rematch kind of made sense, and Goto overcoming the odds and gets his belt back right away, I think emphasizes the fact that all these gaijins have the belts now, and now Goto's the guy to get behind. Since Okada's now seems lost without his belt, Rad. He seems lost. He's a lost little lamb without his title.
Yeah, he doesn't need it. Not anymore.
Not anymore. So I like this this like pro Japan, get behind the local hero kind of with this not mid card belt, but open challenge belt, basically. Yeah. So we've reached that part of the show, Rad.
Yes.
Where
although we have a takeover to talk about, so it's good.
You see on the agenda, I purposely put that after Money in the Bank.
Yeah, I noticed.
Yeah, so
with maybe just 2 highlights from the Money in the Bank, so I'm good with it. I think both you and I agree on the current product, and we just have a lot of similarities with what we like and what we dislike.
As I've been doing I think I did this on the last couple, I will play The Undertaker's Gong to introduce us to WWE.
You bet.
Okay. So, Money in the Bank. Did you watch Money in the Bank, Rad?
I did, yes.
Oh my god, you watched that, but not Dominion, Okada, Omega?
Yeah,
I don't understand.
Yeah, The thing is that I still don't have a full-time subscription of to New Japan, World. I
Okay.
need to get myself one because the way I catch up is either through Access TV or I pick up a couple of Blu-rays much later on and just definitely catch up. But yeah, I need to get my subscription. It's long overdue. So, but yeah, I mean, Money in the Bank. I have the WWE Network, so why not?
So how would you like to do this? I wrote only 3 things down because I was on Future Wrestling Podcast, and I definitely have opinions over the pay-per-view. A lot of people seem to like this.
I noticed that on social media and obviously in the same chat that we're in. But I think both you and I have similarities with what we dislike in this pay-per-view. So let's get right down to it.
You want to go through this rapid fire so we're not here for like 3 hours? A little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Let's just go over what we liked. I guess I noticed you just put 3 highlights, so I'm good to go.
So I'll just go through this right quick then. Cass Bryan, another match, skip. Lashley Zane, Lashley squashes, doesn't deserve to be on a pay-per-view, no excuse. The next match was Rollins, Elias. Elias is looking better. It's a Rollins match. He always seems to jam his knee every match now. It's irritating to me. Does that irritate you at all, Rad?
Yeah, I've noticed it so many times, so...
Yeah, I'm really tired of the knee injury. I'm over it. I think this WWE formula is hampering Rollins now. He could be a 5-star match wrestler instead of a 3.5-star match every time. But still, solid match. It's okay. It belongs on Raw. But as we were spoiled, Rollins lost the title the next night to Dolph Ziggler, of all people, who hasn't won a match in like 3 years. So I don't understand it. Anyways, moving on. The tag belts don't exist anymore, so why should we talk about them? They don't matter.
Yeah.
The women's Money in the Bank ladder match, 8 women, an entertaining match.
That's the best way to describe it.
But as a wrestling match, 8 people's too much. I spoke on the last cast that I was really worried that it was just going to be a messy spot fest. In the women's case, it just felt like they were tagging in and out. They would go in the ring, do a couple moves, roll out. Whether it was being used against a ladder or taking finishers, they would just essentially move, tag out, next person comes in, and it was just clockwork like that.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that. Obviously, it aired yesterday, Sunday. It was Father's Day, so I had my family over, and I had the pay-per-view on, in the background, and that's right about the time where I actually got to just sit down and tune in and watch it without any distractions. And my mom was there, and she got into it because she mentioned that she heard on the news that Ronda Rousey was going to wrestle. I was like, oh yeah, that's the I guess the headline for the casuals, right?
Sure.
Well, yeah, we're here watching the women's Money in the Bank, and she's into it because she's never really seen women's wrestlers, wrestle this way. So that was pretty cool to see. I kind of explained to her what every character was, how Becky Lynch was my favorite, my pick, whatever. And one thing that she immediately said, and keep in mind, she's like a casual, if not like below that. Like she has no idea about anything regarding the product. And she was like, so why is there always just 2 people in the ring and all the other women are thrown outside like if they got knocked out? So I kind of had to explain that to her, but I think it just boils down to the fact of what you just mentioned, JD, that there's just too many people in one Money in the Bank ladder match so that it becomes a spot fest and just like a little time window to shine. And then right when it's not their turn, they get thrown out, and then in come the other 2. And so it just essentially becomes a tag match, like you mentioned. It's just crazy. It's all over the place.
Yeah, and again, I'm not saying it wasn't entertaining. I'm just saying it's. Right. I feel like it's copying out. It just wasn't
a wrestling match.
I think it's copying out of what something could be. Like, it could clearly be better. I think like one thing that kept popping in my mind was this was an easily storyline opportunity to continue, or at least finally solidify some sort of Banks-Bayley feud. You had Charlotte, Becky Lynch on the SmackDown side. Easily missed a 4 horsewoman face-off in the middle of the ring, and them gunning for the belts.
That would have been perfect platform for that. I think the crowd would have went nuts too. I mean, they would have known what they were seeing. So
Yeah, I mean there was little face-offs that got our blood boiling a little bit. You know, when Charlotte and Becky had the stare down on the top of the ladder. You know, I kind of marked out for that a bit. But naturally, tag out. We don't got time for that kind of thing. But yeah, the match was entertaining. Bliss, the only heel in the entire match. 7 out of the 8 women were faces. That kind of shows the situation the women's division's in. Bliss wins. I don't hate it. I didn't hate Bliss winning, Rad. But she's on Raw. Nia beat her for the title. It just felt like it was an easy way out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. You could definitely tell that the company's behind her, and I think they have faith in only her. You know, to begin with, I was okay with it, actually. You know, to me, I was under the impression that they might give it to somebody like Lana, you know, and obviously I would not like to see that. So anybody but her. So I was like, you know what, Alexa Bliss is awesome. I like
give
her.
Me the shivers.
But,
give me the shivers. Oof. No.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of, you know, Eva Marie picking up a major championship. So it's really that bad. But yeah, anyway, you know, going back to Alexa Bliss, I was okay with the result. The only thing is, though, is that I think everybody's favorite here to win was Becky Lynch, and even the crowd showed that support. That little spot that they had, the exchange between Charlotte and Becky. You know, Becky, that moment where she actually almost grabbed the briefcase. I thought she really was going to win.
Oh, she had it. She fought. Yeah, it was a purpose fumble. Either Becky went up the ladder too early, or Bliss was late in the ring. She had the briefcase. There was also another instance in the match earlier, I believe, with Sasha Banks. And a very similar situation where she had the briefcase in her hand, and then she stood there for a little bit too long, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, it's purposely done. Obviously, they already knew who the winner was going to be. But yeah, I just felt so bad, you know, for Becky, and obviously, you know, she's a company gal, you know, she's a face of the company. She's gonna do what she's told, but I just feel so bad for her because I feel that she deserves a lot more. I know a lot of fans showed their dismay on, you know, social media as well, and just seeing Becky Lynch lose again like that, it's like, if you know the crowd is already behind her and it's hot, roll with it again. I think it's time that we see Becky become a, you know, 2-time champ, and this was the best way to start. You know, have her win the Money in the Bank briefcase, but unfortunately didn't go down that way.
Yeah.
We got Alexa Bliss. I'm okay with that, and I guess we'll touch base with what happened later on in the night.
Yeah, well, Bliss has blonde hair and boobies, so
yeah, apparently that's what they're
along the bigger side. So it's
the company.
It's WWE at its finest, for sure. There with you got to have blonde hair, and it's got to be long. Lana cut her hair, and they made her wear a wig.
Yeah, it's messed up, man.
Christ. They put her in the match, even though she has no business being there. I like Lana. She don't make her wrestle. She's a great manager. She gets the pop. Lana #1. Anyways.
Oh, and that's another thing. What I didn't get is that the Chicago crowd, being a huge pro wrestling and opinionated town, they were actually behind Lana.
Well, they're just being smarky. They're just being
Oh, man. Yeah, I guess that's all it was. But I was just so annoyed by it. I mean, not only her, but other wrestlers throughout the night. I'm like, guys, come on. You all have a reputation to uphold, you know? And here they are cheering for people that make the company to the very thing that we just dislike. I just didn't understand it. I was just so frustrated by it. But anyways, Alexa Bliss took the win. So anybody was better than Lana.
Yeah. And then just quickly mentioning Carmella retained against Asuka.
Oh god,
Carmella is being booked as like the strongest women's wrestler ever right now. I don't understand it. We all knew Ellsworth was coming back. He hopped up ringside dressed as Asuka, and the crowd knew it. They were chanting Ellsworth via Goldberg-like chants before he even took the Asuka mask off. He did an attempted wink. He kind of like, he can't wink, so he blinked and tilted his head. Anyways, the match was exactly what the Charlotte match was. Commentary made that very clear. Couple moves of offense in, then, you know, like 8 minutes of rest holds, it felt like, via Carmella. Asuka got a little bit more offense in than Charlotte did in the match when Asuka was finally, I'm not excited to talk about it at all.
No, it just seems to me that obviously the different plans for Asuka than what we all thought. You know, her coming out of NXT, and I think this is where it ends. You know,
it didn't even take a year for them to completely ruin the streak.
Yep.
The character of Asuka, the dominance of Asuka, and now Asuka is just another woman on the roster.
That's all it is, and that's unfortunate.
And this is unfortunate is definitely the word. This is why I no longer watch Raw. This is why I no longer watch SmackDown. I only watch the monthly pay-per-views, just to kind of stay on the up and up, be in the conversation.
Same boat.
I do like wrestling. I do like some matches every now and again, but the way this went down was horrible. Ellsworth gets on the apron. Asuka just sort of stares at him, and instead of Carmella getting a kick in right away and for a pin 1, 2, 3, it was an attempted roll up, a kick out. Asuka stares at him again. He takes off the sign, and then it was the kick. Takes out the mask, and then it was a kick. I mean, it really, really uncoordinated ending. And if someone coordinated it, then they need to be fired, because that was a horrible way it went down. Carmella's still the champ. She's got blonde hair. She's got titties. We have a SmackDown roster with the likes of Asuka, Becky Lynch, Charlotte, and Naomi, and yet none of them are wrestling. They have to deal with a screaming blonde girl from Stafford Island. So, Carmella had her chance. She's proven me nothing. So, moving on. Unfortunately, finally a good match between AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura. Finally, Rad. Finally, we have
the match we deserved in WWE.
And it was a last man standing match. Sure, the Nutshot storyline came full circle. At least it made sense. There was continuity. I'm always up for continuity, and the way it went down wasn't totally cringy. Shinsuke's facial expressions were on point. Styles was a pissed off babyface, on point. They were both playing their characters super well. The match started off feeling each other out, as WWE does. I'm not a fan of that. But once they got into motion of getting a little bit hardcore, getting into the feel for things, the match went down incredibly well, in my opinion. A little weird that seemingly 30 to 40% of the match took place in between the ring and the announce tables. I thought that was a bit off-key.
Yeah, it was all over the place.
But in that particular area, which got to make the live crowd kind of very much be taken out of it, because then they can't see the match. Most of it, they had to be looking at the giant Titantron. So from a live perspective, I was like, that's probably not the best idea. But anyways, it's neither here nor there. On TV, it looked good. It was a fun match. Unfortunately, it took for the 5th time for us to get to this point. So I think we were all kind of tired of the rivalry and how fast these matches came one after another. Mm-hmm. This should have been the one at Backlash, Rad. It really should have.
Yeah, I agree.
But I really liked it. I love the selling. I love AJ working Shinsuke's knee, continuity to the Kinshasa not being as effective, hence he could get up from it before a 10 count. I thought the 5 counts at the beginning kind of made the match drag on a little bit, but I'm always up for a slow pace for a longer match, because this match went about like 37 minutes or something wild.
Yeah, it was a long, a pretty decent match as far as time is concerned.
Yeah. So what is your thinking on the match?
I totally agree with you. I think this was the match that we should have got at Backlash. Everything that went down was just perfectly executed. I was invested in this match even, a lot more than the one that took place at WrestleMania.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, which is only known for the result, and that's where I feel low blows should have ended. Obviously, they made an entire joke and storyline out of it. So, that's the negative part. But as far as the actual performance is concerned, yeah, it was great. I liked it. I guess definitely match of the night for me.
Yeah, it was
And
for me as well. I
yeah,
say it's a top 10 WWE match this year as well.
oh yeah, definitely. And I am AJ Styles is my favorite wrestler right now, so I'm happy with the result. But that's not to take away the fact that I think it would have been pretty cool to see Nakamura at least win the title, win it and then lose it again to AJ Styles down the line. But we didn't get that. I think it's clear to everybody that Nakamura is never going to get the championship. But I mean, hey, he was going up against AJ Styles, so if he's going to lose, I mean, this is not just any wrestler. This is the phenomenal one.
Well, he also
AJ
lost
Styles.
to Jinder Mahal. Never
So,
forget.
yeah, I almost forgot about that one.
So at this point, I've said it time and time again. Guests on this podcast, WWE just doesn't have the balls to put the title on a foreigner of Shinsuke Nakamura. They just don't have the balls. They don't want to do it. They want nothing to do with it. They'll have him wrestle for it, but they'll never give him the title.
Yeah, and I mean, this is already the fifth match between these guys, and I think this is already like the conclusion. I don't see. I mean, unless the match goes to, I don't know, some sort of Hell in a Cell or 3 Stages of Hell or something after, but it's a last man standing match. Usually, this is the conclusion, especially after a trilogy or 4 or 5 matches in this case. So, I mean, that's it. I don't think Nakamura is ever going to win the championship. Styles is probably already going to start another program, maybe building up towards SummerSlam. So we'll see who ends up in that WWE title picture.
Yeah, I think it has to be Samoa Joe.
That would be great. I think the smart move would to be put in Samoa Joe. Obviously, he's a heck of a performer himself. The two guys have a history in TNA. It seems to me that WWE's not forgetting about TNA anyway, so they might mention it. Whether they show footage or not is the question. But I would definitely like to see that, man. But I don't know. I would rather see something like that maybe at WrestleMania, but SummerSlam is just as big. So
yeah, I don't see why everything has to be saved for WrestleMania.
Right. I think SummerSlam would be great. So that'd be awesome.
Okay. So next match was Ronda Rousey going up against Nia Jax for the women's title, the red one, and I love the cash in at the end where the camera work where you didn't see Bliss coming. I thought it was predictable once Bliss won that this was going to happen. It was the only smart way to book this, and it did happen where Bliss hit Ronda, so Ronda technically wins the match. Bliss takes her out. Goofily hits Nia with the briefcase on her arm that Ronda was working the whole match, or sort of. Use that loosely. I don't know if you laughed when Bliss was hitting Nia with the briefcase on her arm. The way she was hitting it was very girly.
Yeah, it was. It almost looked like it wasn't gonna work. I thought the cash in was gonna be a failure because I honestly thought Nia Jax was gonna block it or reverse it. It just didn't look right. I saw that too.
It looked comical. I was like, why isn't she using 2 hands to hit her? But anyways,
she's smacking her, and you could tell, Nia Jax kind of just like overselling it. She's like, okay, well, I gotta pretend it hurts, so sure.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. A lot of people are still way on the Ronda train now. Like they, we were all speaking highly of her Mania match, how it was choreographed so well, and Ronda, pulled out a couple good choreographed moves, made her look real strong. Great booking. Some good booking here as well, I will admit. Ronda took some fucking bumps in this match. Good God, I still don't like Nia Jax in her wrestling style. Like every time she's in the ring, it seems like Nia's gonna hurt you. And not in character, like actually, oops, kind of hurt.
Right. Botchy moves.
The scariest one was definitely when Ronda was going to be taken up for Samoa drop, and Nia. I don't know whether Ronda, being as green as she was, just didn't jump into the shoulders properly, or Nia just straight up missed her, because then they had a fumble. And Nia landed on Ronda's head as Ronda was going face first into the canvas. It looked really dangerous. That was just one example. That one definitely stood out.
One of the many. I also noticed, and the camera kind of turned away, but Ronda did this thing where like she kind of like rolled back, and I guess she expected to hit the ropes, and she fell to the outside. I don't know if you caught that.
Oh yeah, I
But
definitely I caught that as well.
That didn't look like it was part of the choreography, so to speak. I think that was an actual botch. So
Yes.
Nia Jax had to take it to the outside, and you know they continued their fight there.
It's yeah, Ronda's still super green. You can be I mean, the future is definitely bright for her. She's improving each and every time, definitely. She's got a long way to go though, in my opinion. Still,
Yeah.
Everyone's. I really liked the 273-pound like straight up judo throw that she did on Nia. Which makes sense. Ronda went to the Olympics for judo throwing. I sure hope she can do a judo throw. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, but I will, you know, she tried to work with what she had. I just think that maybe if they put her with the right opponents, it'll look good. But Nia Jax was unfortunately the champion, and I think maybe in WWE's eyes, they're like, okay, the only opponent that we can give Ronda Rousey, you know, with her kind of persona, being tough and whatnot, is somebody as big as Nia Jax. But I don't think they had chemistry. We mentioned on the last podcast, you know, I think it was too early to have Ronda in a title match, and it wouldn't have looked good, you know, whether she won or lost. So having Alexa Bliss, you know, cash in, you know, at the end, take Ronda out, and then beat up Nia Jax, I think was the only option. And I actually liked that. I marked out when I saw that Alexa was coming out to cash in. I'm a fan of cash-ins. I love that. And we haven't seen a same night cash in years. So, you know, that was cool. And I think that was the only way that this match was going to conclude. So I was okay with it.
Yeah. No, I mean, the cash in was perfect. It was the only way to really get this over with and do it right. So
yeah, and obviously right now we're recording this, JD. So I don't know if you're following up with what's going on Raw, but I know that the show opened up with Ronda Rousey slamming Alexa Bliss through a table. So obviously she's already has you know, bad blood with her. I just don't know. Yeah, I mean, if this is going to be a program between Alexa Bliss and Ronda Rousey, or they're building to some sort of, you know, triple threat with Nia Jax in the mix.
Oh God, I hope not. Yeah,
I know that the triple threat just doesn't seem like it works well. That's not chemistry right there whatsoever.
No. I mean, seasoned vets can't do triple threat or multi-man matches very well. So who am I to expect that outside of just every single thing is going to be choreographed, which it seems what they're doing with Ronda. Rather than have her learn in the ring via what Shayna Baszler's doing quite well in NXT, I might add. But anyways, I digress. We got one more match to go through, and then we got an amazing takeover card out of Chicago. Basically, this 20 minutes men's Money in the Bank 8-man ladder match was the decimation of the roster as Braun Strowman kills everybody.
Yeah. That was pretty much the match in a nutshell. Everybody against Braun.
Man, Kevin Owens kind of led the pack. He paid for it when Braun eventually did get up and took a horrific fall off that like 20-foot ladder onto a table which still had a laptop on it. Kevin Owens like hit his head.
It was bad.
Apparently he showed up at Raw the next day. I'm like, good God, this guy signed a 10-year deal or some shit and he's still doing that?
Yeah.
That poor guy.
That was probably, I don't want to say move of the night, maybe spot of the night. I think it just stood out.
Oh, for sure. I'm sorry. Don't do it. Ah!
Yeah, that was hilarious. But oh man, that drop. And my little girl, she's you know, she's 9, going on you know, 10 this year. She was watching it with me, and even she freaked out with that. You know, she's already aware that, you know, wrestling is a show. You know, kind of laughs when botches happen. You know, she likes moves, stuff like that. So she's already very in tune. She's a little wrestling fan. And when she saw that, she freaked out. She was like, oh my God, that was really high. So I was like, yeah. So we were like freaking out together. It was funny. But yeah, that looked real bad.
Rest in peace, Kevin Owens. Bobby Roode was absolutely absent in this match. So further proof that 8 people is too much.
Too much. Bring it down to 6.
Yeah, I mean, I said it on the last cast. Like 6 is proven to be the max. Anything else?
That's how the original one, the first one, started anyway.
Yeah, you know, just nobody but Braun looks strong. I don't hate that. I don't hate the fact that he won the briefcase. I just don't think he needs it.
Yeah, that's another perfect example of somebody that just doesn't need a championship or any kind of Money in the Bank briefcase wins. This guy obviously is over, and I think what people like to see is just him beating the crap out of everybody. That's probably the only thing I like about Braun, to be honest. And one of my favorite spots in this match was when he kind of like I forget who it was. Again, so many people involved. They were carrying the ladder, and he just like ran right through it like a rhino, and it broke in half.
It broke in
half.
That
was pretty cool. Yeah.
It cuts to the Miz's face in the ring,
yeah,
and he's just like, "Oh God."
that was hilarious. It's like the Miz was just staring at him like, "Holy shit, man!" It was good stuff. But other than that, I think it was very predictable that Braun was going to win. Obviously, that wasn't a lot of choices. Everybody had their picks.
I feel like everybody, when they picked the winner of this match, everyone went with their heart, be it the Miz building to a Bryan rivalry or Samoa Joe. I'll put you to sleep. All knew
Braun was going to take it.
I just didn't want to believe Braun was going to win. But hey, it happened. I don't hate it. If and when Brock Lesnar shows up at some point after the Blue Moon and the Werewolf changes or what have you, and he catches in.
Oh my God! It's like whatever happened to that rule in the WWE rule book, where like a champion had to defend within 30 days. It's like that doesn't apply to Lesnar.
It only applies when they don't know what to do with a storyline or when someone gets injured. It's only when it's convenient. It's lame. It's lame. Yeah, it's only when it's convenient. I don't like it. Either stick to it or just ignore it altogether. Just say the guy's injured and he has to relinquish it, not this 30-day thing. Just don't say that. Anyways, so that was Money in the Bank. A lot of people like it. I gave it to me it was an average pay-per-view. The first half felt like a Raw showing with 2 ladder matches, honestly.
I blame the 4 hours, man. That's way too long.
Yeah, obviously I found myself yawning quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean they're gonna come off as fillers, even preliminaries on the main card. So it's just not good.
Oh, and unfortunately, somehow this is the better pay-per-view we've seen from WWE in like a year. I want to say.
Yeah, that's the sad part as well. Yeah.
Woof. Okay. NXT TakeOver Chicago was the night before.
Here we go. The good stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every match on this card was money, in some way or form or another. I didn't hate a single one. I was marking out the whole time. Good time to be a wrestling fan is watching NXT TakeOver. This is the only reason why I even pay attention to WWE anymore, honestly.
Yeah.
First match was the tag match. Super hot, super fast. This felt like an Evolve match, bringing the indie feel to NXT and WWE. Undisputed Era pulls out the amazing hard-hitting win against I'm calling this team 1-2. That's what I'm calling
nice.
them. The team of Lorcan and Birch. Man, they just good heel work by Adam Cole. Really dangerous, freaky bump Lorcan took, being pushed off the turnbuckle, hitting his back on the apron spot to the outside. What'd you think of this tag match, Red?
Oh, it was incredible. I was on the way home from picking up some food for the night, so I actually got right into my house, turned on the TV, and Undisputed Era was coming out. Obviously, they were my picks to win this match. I'm a huge mark for the Undisputed Era. Freaking love their theme song, all those guys coming out all at once. It's just awesome. I love factions, and they really nail it. So as far as the match is concerned, I think you described it perfectly. It was super fast, action-packed, beginning to end, nonstop. The crowd was hot throughout, and it looked great on TV. Amazing heel work from Adam Cole, where even the ref had to like send him to the back. He was like, "Yeah, we don't want your shenanigans here, go back there." It was just good stuff. It was really fun, and JD, our boys won, man. Undisputed Era retained. So that was
Kyle
awesome.
O'Reilly, heel Roderick Strong can do no wrong. Kyle O'Reilly doing the guitar on the belt, like his goofy antics
awesome.
in the ring. He's like the most underappreciated guy in all of NXT and WWE right now. I love Kyle O'Reilly to death. He has such a unique style in the ring. He stands out to me. He's doing everything he can to be noticed in an unnoticeable environment that is WWE. And talk about getting one-upped. The next match, Velveteen Dream, the flamboyant one himself, coming out, Velveteen, Hulk Hogan / Prince Puma, Lucha Underground, making fun of Ricochet pants against Ricochet, the King of the Sky, the guy with the wings. Good God, this match. The building, the pace from start to finish, feeling each other out, doing their flippy shit, trying to one-up, the story of one-upping each other. Such a simple storyline, Rad. Built on NXT in short, sweet 5-minute segments. The heel turn of Dream in the match against Sullivan to build Sullivan beating two guys at once to go for the main event, and Ricochet just saying prove it with every move, like, no, it's not good enough. You did that move, I'm gonna do you one better and then beat you. It went through the match. I feel that people really missed that when they talk about Dream versus Ricochet here. This was a true and tried wrestling match. I spoke about the Pro Wrestling Noah match, where it was Marufuji and the champion just grudging against each other. I want to be, just the face of the company kind of thing, and they want to one up each other to prove that this took that into a high flying affair. Arguably, this was the match of the night and stole the match of the weekend.
Yeah,
the finish was absolutely nuts, where Ricochet did a shooting star press to the middle of the ring to land on Dream's knees. That took a lot of trust in your opponent.
Oh, definitely.
For sure. All the way to the Dream going, no. I'm going to do my signature move, the Rainmaker, the elbow drop, across the frickin' ring. That led to...
No trust there.
My God. And he would have landed it, too.
Yeah.
And then Ricochet hitting the 630.
Made it distance, as far as the distance concerned, he made it. Just obviously...
Nuts. And and then Ricochet hitting that 630 to finally finish it off.
Man, that was just a cannonball in action.
I might say, the tag match at the start was too much of a kind of a no-sell spot fest, but there was enough there for me to kind of forgive that. I forgive a Matt Riddle match every now and again, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Dream Ricochet, I have zero complaints about this match at all.
Wow.
To me, this is a 5-star match.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and I'm so glad that you bring in the build-up aspect to it, JD, because both of us grew up on the same era of wrestling, and just the whole story and the psychology around it, and Velveteen Dream, saying anything you can do, I can do better. That's like totally classic WWF right there, man. And not only is it just the build-up itself, but they really make up for it, in the ring. The performance from Ricochet, Velveteen Dream doing his stuff. It was just an incredible performance from the two. The perfect package. I call this is what wrestling is all about, and these guys really nailed it.
And we've seen a similar storyline in WCW, what we're going over on Thunder with the Ric Flair Bret Hart.
Yeah, totally.
Same thing. Oh, so good. The next two are they weren't as good. They are worth just mentioning. Cross versus Baszler for the NXT Women's title. The improvement of Baszler continues. The brooding, badass woman that she is. People make fun of her because of her looks, and I basically want to tell them to shut the fuck up all the time. That's not the point here.
Yeah.
It's 2018. Be a star is basically what I say.
The right way, not Naya's way.
Yeah. A decent match with decent moves. I thought the finish was a bit lame, personally. Yeah, I mean, it does make sense, like, character-wise, because Cross is crazy. She embraced the darkness. She put her arms out while she was in the clutch. Accepted being put to sleep. I get the character work. I know Nikki Cross is a better wrestler than this character. I think she's overdoing it a bit. But overall, not nothing to majorly complain about this match. There was no crazy botches. No one looked like they were killing each other by accident.
Yeah, no, it was just a solid performance from the two. I would say, it was fair. It was decent. I think you hit hit it on the head with that one of Nikki Cross can definitely show a lot more, but she might be limited to the character that she's playing. So here we are, we're seeing submission holds, and she's like laughing and whatnot, and the finish. I wasn't really a fan of that finish. It came out of nowhere.
Right, so you're in the same boat as me then.
Yeah, the referee, just called it. She's there. She gets just knocked out, and that was it. I thought it could have gone on more. At least have like some sort of a true finish, so to speak. I mean, whether it be pinfall or whatever. But it's just the way it went down. But the performance, I think it was decent.
Yeah. It was your. I wouldn't say it was average. I would say it's above average. Like the character work was definitely on point.
And like you said, Baszler's in-ring performance obviously is improving, so we had that as well.
Yeah, I absolutely loved her knee shots that she was doing in this match. We hadn't seen that yet before.
Yeah, that's true. They looked pretty
like
good.
They were impactful. They were painful.
Yeah.
Cross was selling it well. So
yeah, definitely.
The NXT title match was not last yet again, and there's a good reason for that apparently. Yeah. Aleister Black defending against the brooding Lars Sullivan. Very hard hitting with smooth transition moves is how I describe this. I was a little worried going into this because Lars Sullivan's, a big guy. More often not in WWE, especially if you're a homegrown guy in WWE. The big guys are very limited. We saw that with Big Cass. They tend to look lost a lot of the times. They're just big and bad, But Sullivan really impressed me with this. Like I've watched Aleister Black, Tommy End, WXW. I've watched Black in the Indies. He's excellent. He improves year in, year out on his craft and what he does. I know what he's capable of. So I was really paying attention to Lars Sullivan, what he was going to do and bring to this match. Everything he did was silky smooth for a big guy. He had no business doing the moves he's doing. The pop-up onto the shoulder power slam was smooth as butter. People say he looks like a troll, and it's like, well, he's a big dude. Like, wants to be a star.
Right.
I have nothing to complain about this match. Even the botch. Because Aleister Black went for his his black mass, his spinning heel kick. The camera did a good job by looking like it at least sort of hit Sullivan in the back of his head. This led to Sullivan kicking out at 2, and here I go, okay, shit happens. Now I believe why Sullivan kicked out at 2. It didn't hit him well enough, right? So it sells the black mass as he needs to hit it square on to defeat the guy, right? And he needs to do it twice. So that makes Sullivan look great. That makes Black still look like a solid champion, even though the black mass was conquered, so to say. I really like this match. I think people aren't giving it enough credit, personally. What do you think, Brad? What do you think?
I thought it was another just solid, decent performance. In my opinion, I don't think Aleister Black and Sullivan have chemistry. This was just not a matchup that I think worked well together. As far as the match itself, it was okay. I have no complaints about it. It actually exceeded my expectations because going in, I wasn't really, I wasn't really expecting much, and I think it exceeded my expectations for it. So that was good. I went in not expecting a lot, and because of that, I enjoyed it for what it was. But again, Aleister Black and Sullivan was a match that I was really invested in, because to me they just don't go together.
That seems to be a. I'm glad you say it was. It exceeded your expectations, which I think was kind of the point to that. Did you at least like what Sullivan ended up bringing to the table? Is that what did it for you?
Yeah, I actually think that from what I was expecting, I really liked what he showed us. So maybe next time they can just go ahead and put him against somebody of his size or his wrestling style, and that might look better on TV. As far as Aleister Black is concerned, he needs to go toe to toe with somebody like Ricochet or Velveteen Dream, because that's his style. So I think that would look a lot better on TV. But either way, I think it was solid for what it was, and Not the main event, rightfully so, because we will move into the next match. And
Absolutely.
That's the reason why. So, but that's my thought or my take on this, at least.
Well, why don't you lead us into that main event then?
Oh, hell yeah. So here we are. We have the main event. Gargano versus Ciampa 2, and this time it is in a what was it? No disqualification.
Mm-hmm. It was a street fight.
Street fight, Chicago street fight. There you go. Freaking phenomenal, man. Oh my god, this match just it started off.
You're already marking out.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, it's just amazing performance from these two guys. They just really have it down, and even when they're not wrestling, these guys utilize social media to the fullest. All of their interviews look realistic. I've said it before and I'll say it again. It reminds me of what WCW used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I freaking love it. And, Candice LeRae just getting involved as well, telling Gargano that she was concerned that why did he sign up for this match. And then before he goes out, it's like if she, finally accepted and endorsed it, she handed him the crutch and she said, go kick his ass. So that was just really good TV. Again,
I'm so glad she didn't just stick to the whole scared wife gimmick.
Yeah, that's what I thought they were going to do. And I was actually concerned for that. But no, it looked awesome. These two guys went out there, they beat the crap out of each other. It's like every single move that they were doing was just topping the last one.
Mm-hmm.
Weapons from the crowd, that stop sign.
The awfully specific stop sign spot.
Yeah, I know. It's like you can tell that guy was specifically placed there. It's hilarious. But either way, you had the weapons in the crowd. Ciampa removing the mat, exposing the underneath of the ring, and not just like the under part, but also like with the bare wood and whatnot. It was just really cool to see that. And oh man, not to mention Gargano actually snapped in this match, and I really liked that. He
went full Eddie Edwards in the woods meeting Sally Callahan, man. It was like, let's do this, motherfucker.
Yeah, he's like started punching out referees. They had to bring out more, pushed them off, started to go after, Ciampa, and it was just good stuff, man. I really liked it. I enjoyed this match. That's all we have to say, that Velveteen Dream Ricochet is arguably the match of the night. I think we both agree that it was our match of the night. But man, Gargano Ciampa comes in at an extremely close second. It was just good stuff.
From a pure imagery, like there was so much imagery in this match, from the metaphorical crutch, which now the commentary is really getting that over, to after the big table spot once Gargano or not Ciampa ripped the wedding band off Gargano and spits on it because he was the best man at their wedding.
Oh yeah.
Then they did the Gargano reverses it into a table spot, and there's that image you could put side by side with Ciampa doing that a year ago in Chicago after he put Gargano through the table and he's just sitting over the cross, the same thing, but now the roles are reversed. Mm-hmm. And then as he's being carted away, Gargano's looking like he's fiddling with his finger. You took the ring finger, the wedding band away, and that's when he snaps. Everything was built. I had my reservations over the first one as 5 stars as it was. I was like, okay, well maybe some spots could have been saved for later. Don't do it at the start. This one didn't have that, but the touch of hardcore as they were going for, I think it was lacking blood. Like, if there was gonna be blading in modern day WWE,
this is the match.
This is the match. Like, if there was a little red, then match of the year, arguably right there. I really think this match was missing a touch of red. Like, you don't have to blade. Just have a food coloring spot. Something. Just something. A little color is all I was asking for. But
I want to point out, is that what we saw in the Sullivan Aleister Black match? I could have sworn he had some blood in his mouth, and I noticed the referee had like the gloves like before it happened.
Oh,
so I thought
Black cracked him hard in the jaw.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So that was legit. I thought maybe he did a pill or something, but I was like, that doesn't make sense. Why would the referee put the gloves on? But yeah, then it was real blood.
Yeah, that was real blood. So we got more red in the Black Sullivan match than we did get in this blood feud here. But yeah, like the imagery and the metaphors throughout the match, it
was good.
crazy how much they can they keep referencing each other. I wouldn't say they're one-upping, but they're meeting the expectations each and every time. I'm looking for Gargano. I'm looking forward to the Gargano Ciampa 3. I don't. Everyone's saying 3 Stages of Hell or something. Sure, why not? I mean, they haven't disappointed me yet. I don't care what they do. Crazy. I'm actually looking forward to they have a wrestling match with this kind of rivalry going forward.
Oh, totally.
Because we saw that during the what was it, the Cruiserweight title tournament. That's what a wrestling match out of them is capable of, but that's kind of like where it all started brooding. Very interesting, very interesting. I love the feud. Gargano and Ciampa, needless to say, knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
So I just want to go over real quick my rankings, and then we'll go into WCW.
You got it.
As I pull up my Excel file here for all the people on the live stream to see. I'll start with the indie. No! So, I forgot to mention this on the last cast. I've created a women's bracket all on their own for the world. I'm not separating them from the men. I'm like, if they prove to me that they're just as good as the men, then they'll be on the list just like before. Just to get more exposure to the women. They also have their own. So, just real quick. Number 1, Io Shirai, goes without saying. Number 2, Toni Storm for Progress. Ginny from Progress is number 3. Alexa Bliss, she cashed in and won Money in the Bank, number 4. Momo Watanabe is number 5. Nikki Cross, 6. Shayna Baszler, 7. Starlight Kid, 8. 9 is Bayley from Lucha Bayley on Raw. She's like the only thing going good these days in the wrestling sense. And Tenille Dashwood had a few good showings in indie promotions and Ring of Honor. So that's that. Indie, number 10, Phoenix. I'm going to go 10 up this time. Number 10 is Phoenix from CMLL and his Lucha appearance. 9, Travis Banks. 8, Austin Aries. 7 is Jordan Devlin. 9, Keno from Noah. 5, Pentagon Junior Dark, Cyril M, whatever he's going by in the promotion. 4 is Takashi Sagura, the current Noah champion, the winner of the match. Number 3, Walter. Number 2, Io Shirai. So there you go. The woman overcomes a lot of the men in that sense. And number 1 is Naomichi Marufuji for the second straight podcast.
Wow.
So he's gaining ground very quick. New Japan Ring of Honor, 10 Ishii, 9 Minoru Suzuki, 8 Will Ospreay, 7 Michael Elgin, 6 Hiroki Goto, 5 the Young Bucks, 4 Tetsuya Naito. Got to give it to that Chris Jericho match. Yep. 3 Hiromu Takahashi. He's been on a roll. He's gaining ground. Number 2 Okada. Number 1 Omega. I think all of that goes without saying since we just discussed all this.
Yeah, it sounds that's what it should.
Okay, and then WWE was a little bit more tricky, but mostly filled by NXT, which shouldn't be a surprise. Number 10 is Braun Strowman. Yeah, he looked strong. Let's face it. Number 9, I'm giving it to Lars Sullivan because he actually put on a wrestling match. 8, Shinsuke Nakamura. 7, AJ Styles. They made the list, Rad. They made the list. Number 6, Aleister Black. Number 5, Ricochet. Number 4, Velveteen Dream. I think Velveteen Dream was the better wrestler in that match. My opinion. My opinion. 3, Johnny Gargano. 2, Tommaso Ciampa. For obvious reasons. Who do you think number 1 is, Rad?
Oh, man. I actually have a big question mark right now because you already pretty much put real solid names there. Let's see. You already got Dream. Ricochet was on there. Ciampa. Gargano. Did you mention Gargano?
I did. He's number 3.
Number 3,
Who
okay.
could possibly be number 1?
We already got Styles and Nakamura from the main roster. Dude, you got me.
Who's the current Intercontinental Champion?
Current Intercontinental Champion? Dolph Ziggler?
No.
The Miz.
No, the current one, right now, in Japan.
Oh, okay, in Japan. Chris Jericho.
Chris Jericho made the list.
Interesting, man.
Number 1. The match, what he's doing, the character work, the innovation, the promos, like everything. It's world changing.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. But wouldn't this just be like an all WWE list, or because he's still under contract?
He's still under contract, so it's very much similar
Nice.
how like NXT UK is gonna go.
Sure.
So like Tyler Bate, Pete Dunne, a lot of the main signings are going to be in the WWE list, while the lesser known guys that are in like Progress ICW, such as who comes to mind, James Drake, Travis Banks, like they'll stick for now. They'll stick in the indies, the indie section. So since Chris Jericho is a WWE wrestler, still under contract, even though he's in New Japan currently, and champion, still in the WWE bracket.
Sure.
So
I like that. I mean, I would have to say, as long as that guy's in an active match, I think he's gonna stay in that #1 spot.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, and on Twitter, I will update the top 10 total bracket list. And
wait, so you've posted these on Twitter before?
I will be, but yes, I have posted on Twitter before of the.
If you ever want to tag me, man, I'll go ahead and retweet that out. I like them.
Yeah, I've been keeping up with it all year. It'll be fun. Did any matches crack the top 10 list now for matches? Let's see here. The Segura Marufuji match from Noah is now in the number 5 spot in the indies. Omega Okada is now number 1 in New Japan Ring of Honor bracket, and then let's see here. Velveteen Dream and Ricochet took the number 3 spot in WWE from Chicago. Gargano Ciampa Street Fight is in number 4 now, and then Styles Nakamura Last Man Standing match is in the number 9 spot. The only WWE one that's cracked the main roster for my personal little list here. Everything else has been takeovers, which I don't think should be any surprise, really. Really fun list. Let's finish this cast out by quickly going over WCW Thunder Episode 2 as I play NWO. Whew. Alright, Rad. Why don't you take this one away?
Sure. So, let's see. The last time we started this WCW Thunder segment reviewing Episode 1, so here we are on Episode 2 of Thunder, which took place on January 15th, 1998, and it is still all the build-up leading up to the sold-out pay-per-view for that year.
We are 2 weeks away from sold out in Red Leaf Retrocast WCW kayfabe.
Oh yeah, it's like present time. I like that. So yeah, we are 2 weeks away from sold out. So yeah, I mean, so Nitro pretty much opens with Thunder pretty much opens with a Nitro recap, regarding the lawyers getting involved, with the Nash and Giant rivalry going on. Apparently, NWO got their set of lawyers where they threatened the Giants that if you were to touch, Kevin Nash, most notably doing his choke slam signature move, that he would forfeit $1.5 million. So once Nash, already has this power in his court, he, just starts taunting him and whatnot, and trying to get Giant to crack. And Giant just pretty much tries to walk away. He's shaking, trying to hold it in. The fans know what's going on, and that's how Thunder opened. They had the interview with the Giants where the Ravens flock, came in to attack him. Yeah, because I think Lodi was walking by with a sign that said Nash rules and Giant drools or something like that. So it pissed off Giant, and if there's one person he can touch, obviously it's Lodi. So he chokeslams him. The Ravens flock enters the ring from the crowd. Giant starts taking him out, and I remember Nash going in, and that's when he starts antagonizing him.
Oh yeah, Nash is acting like a drunk, drunk bully, and he throws coffee in the face of Giant.
Yeah, there you go.
And he's in his face as Giant's pissed off, walking to the back. He's like, rah, 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 rah.
Yeah, and man, I remember watching this when I was a kid, and I actually enjoyed this storyline. It just looks so real. I was like, oh man, is Giant gonna crack? Is he gonna punch him? What is he gonna do? So we opened with what happened on Nitro,
and it doesn't drag too. It goes quick.
Yeah.
It's
they're just pretty much showing
painless.
you a quick recap, quick and painless. I like that. And another thing they're touching base on as well is that there's still more turmoil within the NWO. NWO is fine. Obviously, different factions are already forming. This is like the infancy of how the Wolfpack broke away on their own. Because you already have the different groups arriving in separate limos. Most notably, Savage already being on his own, the legitimate lone wolf, so to speak. So it's all these are the storylines leading up into Sold Out 2 weeks away. First match to open up the show, we have Team Japan.
From there we go into a lot of the matches then for basically the rest of the night. There's another promo later in the night, but I like this about Thunder. It's they got a lot of their storylines out early, and then it's focusing on the wrestling.
Yes, and I actually, when I used to watch this as a kid, I mean, I never really missed anything. But one thing I loved about WCW is that if you did miss something, they would definitely recap all of that in the next show. And I think that was what Thunder provided. It was a perfect platform. So in case you missed Nitro, you would definitely touch base. I mean, you would know everything that was going on going into that night. So that was really cool.
Yeah, you didn't have to watch both shows. You could watch one and feel like you were
the other.
Still ready for the pay-per-view, because that's what mattered.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Team Japan.
So we had Team Japan. It was Black Cat, O'Hara, and who was the third guy? I forgot his name. Geto. Going up against
the Okada, the Booker of Okada. Same guy.
Really?
Yeah, same guy.
That's right. Oh wow, full circle, man. You had Team Japan going up against who were representing Team WCW, and that was the Steiners, managed by Ted DiBiase and Ray Traylor.
Yeah, Big Boss Man himself.
Yeah, the Big Boss Man.
God, I hate the Traylor character. That looks bad. I don't like him outside of that Boss Man character. I never did.
I guess just seemed too bland. It was just like if they just got like a regular guy off the street.
Yeah,
and he was and he was like the NWO reject, and that's I guess what we got from Ray Traylor. So going off on a quick tangent, it was cool to see him return to WWF in the height of the Attitude Era as the Big Boss Man again. Now,
he was definitely
in black attire.
Yeah, he was definitely a guy that just didn't fit the WCW mold.
No, he didn't at all. It was just too realistic for him.
He was few and far between.
Yeah.
In that sense. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up. So then after that match, we had more recaps from Nitro going on. They just announced that DDP was mugged in the back. Apparently, he was supposed to be in the main event for Thunder that night, and they had the storyline where he was like mugged, and WCW officials were wondering if he was going to be able to compete or not, in which DDP actually did. But I think that goes on later on.
There was a promo later that addressed,
with James J. Dillon, I think. Going back to the match, Scott Steiner actually won another storyline going into it. Was that the Steiners are already breaking apart, and Scott Steiner just continues to steal wins from his brother Rick. Walks off on his own. Ted DiBiase is like disappointed. Rick is sad and whatnot. So this was again still that storyline leading up to the beginning of Scott Steiner eventually turning up on his older brother, I should say.
Yeah.
I think Scott's the younger one between the two, right?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Yeah. So there we have it. The next match, and this is also before we get into this, I just think that this is what made Thunder great, is that they provided a platform for guys like this. So we had a match, Ernest the Cat Miller going up against Yuji Nagata, who was being managed by Sonny Ono.
Another New Japan vet.
Another New Japan vet. And apparently they had announced that this was going to be the beginning of some sort of martial arts division. Of course, I don't think that really went anywhere because I don't remember anything after that.
Kinda. It was more. It was not so much a martial arts, but more or less a hard hitting style.
Where you had guys like the Cat, Glacier, Yuji Nagata.
And when I was watching this match in particular, like the Cat was clearly gonna rise. He was the guy they wanted to push for this division. But this was an early example of like the modern New Japan style wrestling that we've come to love in this modern era. Like this was the start of it, I feel. And Yuji Nagata was Yuji Nagata, Geto, Ernest Miller, like they were at the forefront of it. It was a quick and simple match. It was okay. I found it more fascinating than anything, like looking on it from a history perspective. And I really liked Miller's finisher where he jumps to the top turnbuckle, turns on it, and then jump kicks him.
Oh yeah.
I was like, whoa, okay. All right, you like 6'6" black dude doing cruiserweight shit? What are you doing? It looked really wild for the time. That's for sure. So then, Red.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, you had, Ernest the Cat Miller defeated Yuji Nagata. And that was kind of weird because I think Yuji Nagata at the time was kind of receiving some sort of push, but this might have been the beginning, so he hadn't gotten to that level just yet.
Yeah, maybe not.
I also want to add that earlier on in the night, going back to when they were talking about the turmoil within the NWO and arriving in different limos, Macho Man was actually fined $5,000 for striking Eric Bischoff in the other Nitro. So, so that's kind of like where it all started, to begin. Savage was already showing that he's going rogue, and he ends up slapping Nash, and he splits. So Nash is pissed off and chases him to the back. Again, just a recap from Nitro. Yeah. So that was early on in the night. Going back to the storyline of DDP being mugged, this is the part where we're talking about James J. Dillon comes out, talks about DDP being mugged. However, they start talking that he's not going to be able to compete, but DDP comes out, and despite injury, he still wants to compete in that match, which was the main event between him joining Lex Luger, going up against Kevin Nash and Randy Savage, who obviously are already showing a breakaway within the NWO. So that's the storyline going on there. Next up, we have, let's see, and I'm going by some notes I have as well, because Louis Spicolli actually came out. And
yes.
He was going to go up against Scott Hall, but right after Scott Hall's survey time, he attempts to recruit Spicolli. He starts talking him into wanting to be a part of the NWO. Spicolli looks like if he's like some sort of NWO mark, so it's hilarious.
Oh, yeah, I get a kick out of him.
Yeah, he's like, oh, yeah, you guys are like so cool. I want to be a part of this, whatever. So then the Larry Zbyszko comes out, talks jive, to Scott Hall, and the two are unsuccessful in taking out Larry Zbyszko. So Zbyszko looks strong here, while Scott Hall leaves to the back with his new lackey.
Somehow I really like the storyline going to the Sold Out.
Yeah, it's actually really good.
It's really entertaining. Zbyszko's the veteran, the legend, and Scott Hall is, well, he's such a great character.
Yeah.
Woo.
Underrated storyline, man.
It really was. I didn't remember this at all. Honestly.
It's like Scott Hall just gave him such a hard time. He just bullied him week in, week out, wow. And Zbyszko was there at the commentators table. It's like Scott Hall there wasn't the night where he just left him alone, Yeah. It was good stuff.
I really like where we went from here immediately.
Yeah.
Because we went into the Jericho tantrum story continues, and he will never, ever do it again. You can trust me on that.
Yeah, ends up doing it again.
Oh god, he faces Eddie Guerrero in a #1 contender match for the I'm taking this one, Red. I have to. It's a #1 contender match for the cruiserweight title. It's Sold Out. Eddie Guerrero botched a horrible gory special, putting Jericho to land directly on his neck. Before this, it had a nice little pace, short and sweet. A good finishing sequence despite the botch. After that. Countering where Jericho countered an Eddie Hurricane Rana from the top into a Lion Tamer.
Oh yeah.
And made him tap out clean. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that was a cool finish. Amazing sequence.
Yeah, definitely something that was ahead of its time.
And it's funny you mentioned that, because going back to what wrestling has evolved into, it's like that's the norm nowadays.
Yeah, exactly.
At least with indie wrestling.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty crazy. We just watched an Io Shirai match where she did that.
Yeah, Let's talk about women's wrestling.
Yes,
man.
and women are doing what Jericho and Eddie were doing in 1998.
Yeah.
Oh, crazy.
So yeah, I mean that was also. I just want to add that was really cool too. I totally forgot that they went at it on episode 2. So when I was watching it, I was like, oh man, like every time I just see Eddie Guerrero, on TV, and then like see him with like Chris Jericho, it's like just so many memories. Two awesome wrestlers, obviously weren't appreciated just yet at the time.
Right.
It was good to see them in the ring together. So that it made this revisiting this episode, pretty special.
Yeah, I wasn't even an Eddie fan at the time either. I did get a kick out of some of his antics, but I was definitely, my eyes were focused on Chris Jericho as a kid.
Yeah.
But it was the main event. That's what I cared about. I mean, I did like Thunder. I did like the cruiserweights. I did like the matches they put on. Jericho was at the forefront, as he deserved to be. He was definitely the character.
Yeah, it was all part of the product. You could definitely tell this was like the formula for WCW TV at the time. It worked. Unfortunately, they didn't continue it, but that's another talk way down the road.
Way down the road.
Yeah, way down the road.
So but, just to speed this up a bit from this middle area, a flashback then occurred to Jim Neidhart's debut on WCW Nitro. Led to a Ric Flair promo.
Oh yeah, that was good.
And it led to a match, an impromptu match where Ric Flair would face Neidhart on Thunder, and Ric Flair proceeds to do dirtiest player in the game, gets a pair of brass knucks out, and knocks out Neidhart, and then Bret Hart races out, and that was that. Next match ensues. Chavo Guerrero comes out, and he's immediately interrupted by Disco Inferno, of all people.
Oh, yeah.
And Disco Inferno drops Chavo, and he starts saying, like, I'm the event, I'm the marquee, like, come out, and then out comes Goldberg, spear jackhammer, we're done here.
Yeah.
Very quickly.
That was the end of it.
That was the end of that. Thunderstorm started erupting during the live feed, which I thought was really funny, on Thunder.
Yeah,
it was like
they mentioned having a technical difficulty.
Yeah, like their audio was cutting out all the time. It was pretty funny. So
I know, and you know what? That's another thing I forgot about, JD. While I was watching it, I was like, "What the hell? Did like the network like delete some stuff or something?" But no, it was an actual thunderstorm that took place during the event.
Yeah, I think it was in like Buffalo or something. This event, it was somewhere rural.
Yeah.
But yeah, finish this off, Rad. I'll stay quiet and chime in as I've been doing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So next up, we have a Thunder recap from the previous week where the title was vacated. They show the same famous thing where Sting told James J. Dillon that he had no guts, told Hogan that he was a dead man. So Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff obviously rolled our TV screens if you were watching WCW programming in the mid to late 90s. And again, it was always an interview, Eric Bischoff holding the microphone and Hulk Hogan going on about how he's the real champion. Pretty good stuff. It was NWO nostalgia right there. Then we move on over to a matchup between Rey Mysterio going up against Juventud Guerrera for the Cruiserweight Championship. Mysterio has a phenomenal win, becoming the 3-time Cruiserweight Champion at the time. So that was a pretty fun match as well. Both incredible performers for the time.
Crazy. At one point, at the beginning of the match, Juventud did a flying headbutt over the top rope to the outside.
Yeah, that was crazy.
If Mysterio wasn't there, dead.
Yep.
Like 100%. So crazy. Lots of flippy stuff considering the times. And then great sequence to end. Another Hurricane Rana reversed, and this time into a power bomb.
Mm-hmm.
By Juventud. Missed a 450 splash, landed on his feet, and then Mysterio does a reverse, like his little reverse Hurricane Rana pin. And man, Mysterio was 23 at the time. Crazy.
Oh yeah, he was a young guy and already 3-time Cruiserweight Champion.
Nuts. Yeah, you knew he had a bright future ahead.
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio Jr.
Absolutely.
Holy shit. And that takes us into our main event.
Yeah, so the main event, Randy Savage being accompanied by Miss Elizabeth supposed to be tagging with Kevin Nash, who comes out separately to the same music, being accompanied by Hulk Hogan. Hogan's trying to play the role of the leader, like trying to get them to work together. You know, he's very concerned, telling Macho Man, "Hey, where's your head at? Focus. You know, we're all brothers here. Whatever." You know, so they walk out separately, and they're going up against Lex Luger and DDP, who was just cleared because he stated that he would not hold WCW liable for any responsibilities.
Yeah, he signed a waiver.
Yeah, of injuries. Yeah, he signed the waiver announced by James J. Dillon earlier in the night. He accepted. So yeah, this match is pretty much just continuing the whole storyline of NWO is fine, and you know, I think it ends with Hogan trying to control the situation. Savage ends up pushing Hogan into the Giant, and this is where we get that famous scene where Hulk Hogan famously does like that big gulp. And he turns around, and it's like that. It's the Giant, you know. He's
that behind me, isn't he? Very,
so hilarious.
Very Looney Tunes like. It was great.
Yeah.
I was like, because awesome. I was thinking, because I see that all the time on like social media or whatever, people making fun of it. It's like,
now.
I was like, fuck, when was that? I know it was like I remember watching it. We finally see it. It was on the second episode of Thunder. It was so great.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I I try to post daily content for both retro gaming and wrestling, and I think I posted that gulp like maybe a couple of weeks ago. I just couldn't remember from where it was, and here I am watching Thunder episode 2, and I finally saw it. I was like, "Oh, there it is!" So that was funny. It was just hilarious.
Too funny, yeah. I really liked the rivalry on both sides going. The animosity between Nash and Savage, with Nash and Savage both ignoring tags, and then when they finally did it, it was a hard ass slap. To the point where Nash slapped Savage in the face for a tag.
Yeah, you guys got pissed off, man.
Yeah, Hogan just couldn't do his best in doing it. DDP tried to come out. Luger's like, no, I'll take it on alone. You know, hop on that Lex Express because it's Lariat City kind of shit going on. Super funny. Yeah, I really like it. Giant comes out. He does the gulp. NWO rushes the ring. To cause mayhem, and then Sting comes out to cause mayhem too. WCW reigns supreme as it goes off the air. Crazy
They're
good ending.
Showing solidarity while the NWO is crumbling.
Right? Yeah, so good. Good TV. Good TV. I was entertained from start to finish. As we say, we don't remember all of this like by the book. This was a solid show.
Yeah, it definitely was. Yep.
No, you get a title match because reasons kind of thing. You're the foreigner. You're immediately the bad guy. No, it was original writing, original rivalries. Everything felt
continuation.
fresh. Continuity
between shows. That's what it was all about, and that's what I enjoyed. And you could tell the slow build up, and the Red and Black Wolfpack didn't happen until maybe about, I think, May of 1998. So obviously here we are, January.
I can't wait to see this.
Yeah.
I'm definitely, you can bet your ass, Rad, that I'm going to be watching Sold Out. And as we discuss, like, that will be, I guess, Thunder episode 5. I will watch Sold
great.
Out. So
I think I'll definitely
Sold
brush up on Sold Out. Yeah, hell yeah. This is what all this build-up is building towards anyway. So
I thought we were just gonna do Thunder recaps.
We gotta do Sold Out, man.
I think we at least have to reference Sold Out as we cover Thunder episode 5 for sure. Just like, totally. Oh my god, that match was good. Or that match was bad. I think we got to treat it like we do pay-per-views, like we do for all the other shows on this cast. It'll be super fun. I'll do my best to really. Rad, I'm sorry to keep you this long. It's a late night.
Oh, my pleasure.
I apologize.
I think it's later where you are.
Yeah, it is. It's past midnight, but it's okay. I go on my hiatus. I start that late tomorrow night. But yeah, I'll get this episode out as quick as I can. This has been the Red Leaf Retrocast, episode 6 of the Wrestlecast edition. Man, what a night! It's another long one. Thank you for joining us, and peace out. NWO for life.
Nicely done.
Oh.
Stop already?
Yeah, I stopped.
Okay, I stopped too. There we go. Yeah, that was good. Yeah, man, another, we got a 3-hour show on our hands.
Good God. How are we doing this?
That's crazy, man. But no, it's good stuff. Another one where I just don't feel it. We just touch base on so many cool stuff.
I didn't even go over WXW at all.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, that'll be saved. Well, it's the let's see. What do I have? I know I have something
You
lined
can just
up
double
here.
up on the next one, I guess.
Well, they're
You
on
wanna
their
give, like, an
hiatus
update?
where it's only Shotgun because their next pay-per-view isn't until August, and it's over the top. Their Rumble pay-per-view that they have.
Right.
So let me pull this up here. For now, I only have on the docket the WWE UK tournament. And if I'm able to watch ICW, if it's any good, what I think I'm going to do now is, instead of covering the whole pay-per-view, I'm definitely going to continue the formula of, like what I did with Noah, with if there was a good match, I'll just cover that for the indie scene going forward, since there's so many of them. That way it'll give us more time to talk about the Retro Wrestler and Thunder. And if we have anything else to discuss, like what happened with Money in the Bank, then we'll have more time to dedicate to those things.
Right.
If you're up for that instead, that'll try to compress them to a 2-hour show as opposed to the 3-hour.
Yeah, definitely.
All right,
anything
cool.
to tweak it out a bit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're getting 50 to 100 downloads an episode here on
That's
the
great.
Wrestlecast. So
Yeah,
that's
okay.
definitely a good number, considering that it's a new cast.
Yeah, now you're like full on Red Leaf now, right?
Yeah, the YouTube thing got approved. I don't know why I needed approval. Usually you can just I was told you can just like change the name.
It's because I think you already had a URL, right?
That must have been it.
I think that might have been it, probably.
But yeah, I had to get approval. It took like 8 weeks, and I finally got it. So now Moose and Spiel's gone. It's Red Leaf Retrocast, as it should be. Since the Retrocast, this has been going on for over a year now. The Red Leaf Retrocast, and
Yeah.
Moose and Spiel's done. That was during my time in Canada. That was fun while it lasted.
Right.
I still have all the videos there, so it's no big deal.
It's just under the Red Leaf banner now as part of the channel as a whole.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Let me pull up the agenda for 7 I have made. It's real loose right now.
Oh, okay. So you already started working on it then.
Yeah, I've already watched episode 3 of Thunder. I couldn't.
Oh, hell yeah!
couldn't help
I'll catch
myself.
up on that this week.
I have All Japan Dynamite series. I need to watch. That's the other one. So who's our next wrestler?
Okay, that's a good question. So far we did it was 2 deaths, right? We did Bruno Sammartino. We did the man with the
deaths.
mustache.
We did
Ultimate Warrior.
Warrior, and now Gail Kim. So that's
Now
4.
Gail Kim. Do you want to maybe do another retiree to keep the formula, or do you want to go back to a death, or?
I would really like to do Greg the Hammer Valentine, personally.
Okay.
I don't know if he's alive or dead. Not that it's a big deal.
Yeah, no, I think he's still alive.
I think he's still alive.
He usually attends Comic Cons, but he's like out of it. Like you can tell he doesn't want to be there. But he's doing it for the money, you know.
He's 66, so yeah, he's still alive. So
Yeah.
you want to do him?
Yeah, we can. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but if you have matches in mind, I'll definitely brush up on them.
Yeah, I'll think on him, and I'll text you on Twitter of the 2 matches for sure.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Rad. I really want to get this episode out, or at least I want to have it done being edited tomorrow before I go away, so I can have this episode out on Thursday.
Yeah, cool. I'm exporting it right now as we speak, and I'll send it to you shortly.
Yeah, send it to me, and then I can immediately edit it and get it done.
Okay, sounds good, man.
So yeah, thanks for putting up with me for another 3 hours.
No worries, dude.
Crazy. Thanks for always showing up.
You bet, man.
All right, man. I'll
Have a good one.
I'll expect the email or the Gmail or the Google Drive or something, and I'll see you later,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. I'll do it within the next hour.
Awesome.
All right, later.
Later.